All right. Another Saturday night. Another Saturday night shoot the breeze. Let me check. Okay, sounds like I'm coming through. Drop a one if you can hear me. I know basketball is on tonight, so I don't expect to see a whole bunch of people, but regardless, do have an announcement to make when more people get here. Let me give you all, well, in fact, I'm going to make the announcement now during the preview. I'll make it again later on. I see Bakari is on, so that's a thing. Tonight, I have six topics. And really it's a five and a possible. Why is that I only have that many topics? Is because I'm going to, starting tonight and for the foreseeable future, I'm cutting Shoot the Breeze down to 3 hours. A couple of things are factoring in to that decision. I feel like the momentum got fucked up, to be quite frank. A lot of people who are regulars are not coming through. A lot of folks who are coming through the panels are not coming through. And I've been thinking about this for a while. And recently someone said to me, maybe we should cut it in half, because there's also the thing of people's attention spans seem shorter. Piece of the chat, I see Oni is out there. Trigger Happy 262 Plus is out there. I guess Bakari just finished. But yeah, that's my thing. The momentum has kind of diminished. And so why not cut the show in half? So we're only going to be here 3 hours for the foreseeable future, but it could change. And here's how it could change. More viewers have to come through. That means you got to bring your peoples through. I do as much as I can, it seems, right? But you guys got to bring a friend, someone to log in and add to the numbers. And when the numbers start to get decent, I'll think about bringing it back, maybe not back to 2 a.m., but I'll add an hour as the numbers get better. If the numbers don't get better, we'll stay at 3. And that means 5 or 6 topics, all right? So what we're going to discuss tonight, we're going to discuss Tina Turner passing. We're going to talk about brain chips. We're going to talk about a kid, an African kid, who got electricity from a rock. We're going to talk about the third world and why people think we don't have refrigerators in the third world, I guess. We're going to talk about capitalism versus commerce. And we're going to talk about religion again, but this time from someone else's perspective, not ours. So we're going to talk about those things. I'm glad you guys are here. And I do look forward to the conversation tonight. The panel is open. The link is right there at the top of the chat. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start the show officially. And on the other side, we'll drop Shoot the Breeze, topic number 1. You guys do stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now, your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where black problems are addressed with black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the revolutionary matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Yes, indeed. Also, check out Brother Bakari, Brother Bakari Podcast, Tanzan African Mind, The4Kast Radio, and Cassidra Cheek show as well. I see Yana B is out there in the chat saying hello to everyone. Hello to you, Yana B. Let me welcome in the panelists that have joined me so far. Let's start with Buana. Buana, how are you this week?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm hanging in there.
I saw those videos. Yeah, I saw those videos you made for BAM, man. They're excellent videos, man. Excellent.
Thank you. I have actually a few more. YouTube was tripping. And I have a bunch of pictures I took that YouTube was kind of tripping on. I might try drop them tomorrow, so look out for that too. Oni, how are you this week?
I'm cool. Yeah, pretty excited for show today and so on.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming through. Without further ado, I guess let me drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 tonight. Like I said, for those who may have come in late, we're only going to do 3 hours tonight and for the foreseeable future. I'm open to extending the program again, but needs more viewership, more momentum, etc. Shoot the Breeze topic number 1. This is who y'all crying over. This is y'all legend. When you read that like that, you know who probably posted it. Let me share my screen, of course. Right here. So we'll watch this video and we will discuss it on the other side.
Sort of esteems from. We know we came like from Africa, and sort of our attitudes and our way of life sort of esteems from the African way. And I think like this sort of, I'm only speaking now like from something I haven't really looked into, but I get that Africans are sort of very lazy people. They're not very aggressive. They just sort of want to live off the land and live very comfortable, which is great if you can do that, if you're in a position to be able to do that. But I felt that they enjoyed our performance there, but I have to be inspired by something when I go to Europe. I enjoy it because the people there are very fashionable, and it's just fun. I mean, all we do is work. We check in a hotel, and we go on stage, and we go to the airport. So you have to feel some kind of inspiration from a city, right? So when I go like to Africa, I'm very down because like the food isn't good. I don't get any really good, fantastic vibes from the people, so I'm just really bored.
I'm gonna play it again. I don't know why this is tripping like that. Let's play it one more time. Let's see if it plays better this time.
We know we came like from Africa, and sort of our attitudes and our way of life sort of esteems from the African way. And I think like this sort of well, I'm only speaking now like from something I haven't really looked into, but I get that Africans are sort of very lazy people. They're not very aggressive. They just sort of want to live off the land, and they're very comfortable, which is great if you can do that, if you're in a position to be able to do that. But I felt that they enjoyed our performance there, but I have to be inspired by something when I go to Europe. I enjoy it because the people there are very fashionable, and it's just fun. I mean, all we do is work. We check in a hotel, and we go on stage, and we go to the airport. So you have to feel some kind of inspiration from a city, right? So when I go like to Africa, I'm very down because like the food is good. I don't get any really good, fantastic vibes from the people, so I'm just really bored.
So I posted an RIP to Tina Turner when she had passed away. But what I found interesting, because there's some things I had forgotten. I'm familiar with Tina Turner since I was a kid, right? There were some things I had forgotten that she really did. She really did suck up to whiteness. Let's be real about it. Performing in South Africa during at the height of apartheid and all that kind of stuff. Not good looks, but I'm sure some of you will argue that you don't expect an entertainer to blah 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 blah. But actually, I expect black folks to be about something when it comes to black folks. But I'll hear what you guys have to say. Let's start with Buana. Buana would say,
Well, Koku, I don't like to lambaste some people's personal heroes, and I know she is a hero for some people, but I'm listening to this and I'm asking myself, what the hell is she talking about? But I remember that, Ike Turner used to say that they used to be on a whole lot of drugs. These rock and rollers, they take a lot of drugs and different things like that. So you really can't, I mean, they're brain dead. They're really brain dead. And then when you couple that with the fact that, she is, well, let me just say this. Let me just say it like this. She comes from a place called Nutbush, Tennessee, something like that. I forget where the state is. So it is said that she grew up on a plantation. And anyone who grew up on a plantation, she used to be in the field picking cotton and things like that. Not a plantation. She grew up in the field picking cotton and things like that. So she would probably understand how laborious it is to live off of the land. It's not an easy thing. It's not something for lazy people. You know who lazy people is? Lazy people is people who don't cut their meat, who don't grow their meat, who don't cut their meat, who just go to pick up their meats from the grocery store and pick up their fruits and vegetables from the grocery store. That's lazy. What's difficult is growing your fruits and vegetables, harvesting your fruits and vegetables, and then eating it after you have grown it and groom your animals and things like that. Uh, Living off of the land is not an easy thing. So I don't know where only a cokehead would make these kinds of comments. It's not a well thought of comment. And coming from a place where she's coming from, living off of the land in Nutbush, uh, uh, in the back of the woods, she would know that living off of the land is not an easy thing. So for her to make these kinds of statements, it's really just trying to distance herself from blackness or her heritage, what she was a part of, what she came from. Also, when she says that, she didn't really get the sense of vibing with African people. Of course not. What is she singing about? What is she singing about? I mean, I know that some African people like rock and roll music or whatever. You can't, all African people are not a monolith. This is what they say, But I mean, she is not going to be a popular artist there. She's living. She was singing during the time in the 80s and 70s and things like that, where a whole lot of consciousness was on the continent. So I mean, her artistry wouldn't necessarily connect with a whole lot of African people. Her music wouldn't. They're gonna be like, well, what's this loud rock and roll nonsense? You know what I mean? So it's Of course, they're not going to connect with us. She's going to connect more with Europe. She is really a European artist in blackface. Blackness for her is just a side note for her. It's a coincidental thing. You know, she doesn't wear that. For her whole entire life, she's been making wealthy white men wealthy from her childhood, from the plantation days. Now she is on a big stage, still making millions and millions of dollars for her white paymasters. And she has these kinds of sensibilities. So I really don't expect much from a person like her. I really don't. She probably get knocked in the head so much where you really can't take what these people say seriously. You can't. And I understand that the Western world gives these people a big stage to talk, a big stage. But half of these people are illiterate. You know, they are illiterate. Their talent is just their voice. She was solely a voice, nothing more. A dancer, an entertainer. So I mean, I don't expect much to come out of her mouth. I'm surprised when some entertainers does actually have insightful things to say. I don't even think she used to even write her music. You know, she was really just a voice. You know, and this is indicative of you could have all the money in the world, you know, and all the so-called entertainment kinds of talent in the world, but still be a fool. And this is the exhibition of a fool talking. But I'll leave it there and let Oni rock.
Oni, what say you?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, yeah. I guess you're right. I probably would have said something along the lines of she's a celebrity. What could be said? I mean, the only thing I know about Tina Turner is that she wore blonde hair, you know, and that's where Beyonce got her style from. But like for her to be self-hating, you know, like that's obvious, I feel. But I also think I think a lot of us tend to underestimate how many people are self-hating in this country. You know, how many people do not like, you know, when people talk about like I remember before the ADOS thing started, there was a lot of people from Africa coming online talking about, oh, y'all used to call us African booty scratcher or some shit, you know? And I was like, why are they talking about this? And then eventually, you know, they had pushback or whatever. But like realistically, a lot of people do have a negative opinion about Africa. And I think it's in America's interest for Black people to have a negative opinion about Africa. Because if Black people did not have a negative opinion, like if Black people thought Africa was an opportunity for them, right? They might actually take an opportunity. Like they might actually take that opportunity. Like a lot of Black people see the white man as an opportunity. Tina Turner saw the white man as an opportunity. You know, the kids that, you know, that video of the kids rapping and they're talking about shoot, 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 whatever. You know, there was a conversation under that where this lady said, hey, look, you know, they're trying to get out of the hood, right? And the opportunity for them is in, you know, like a white executive saying, hey, you know what? These kids we could use these kids, right? That's the opportunity a lot of people are, a lot of kids are banking on. Or, you know, a lot of kids go to the basketball field and they, you know, shoot the ball hoping that a talent scout is there. You know, I can't even say how many times I've seen Black people who were creative saying, I hope a talent agent is present. You know, and a talent agent's obviously going to be some white person. You know? So yeah, Tina Turner, I think it's good to just listen to what she's saying because she's telling you what people are thinking. This is not a thought pattern unique to Tina Turner. This is a thought pattern that is prevalent in America. She's just saying it out loud. You know, the new thing inside of, and I mean, a part of it comes back to us because of the way how we kind of big up African Americans, you know, so the new thing inside of these FBA spaces is to say that Africa doesn't have inventors, unlike African Americans who, you know, we tend to every year brag about how many African American inventors there were, you know, this guy, that guy, this peanut butter, this stoplight, this so on and so forth. And then that gets to people's heads and they say, you know what? we're the inventive, creative ones. We make the good music. We do this, and it like I noticed it comes back to bite you. You know, whenever you push in one direction, it you push far enough that it bites you. Like it comes back. You know, so we as quote unquote African Americans or what have you would big up African Americans heavy, and then now when they have the delineation, it's like, oh yeah, we're the best. So Tina Turner already had that, and so it's not like I'm not even saying, hey, who cares, you know, the celebrities, so on and so forth. I'm saying, look at this lady, like understand that what she's saying is not new. What she's saying is the thoughts of millions of people, millions of black people in America. That Africa is not where it's at. Europe is likely better. And we know this because if you ask even your relatives, or you ask your relatives, you're going on where's the ideal vacation? What's the most romantic place in the world? What's, you know, where can you get good sites? Where can you find good museums? Where can you find whatever it is you're looking for, the best club scene, whatever it is you're looking for? 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you, oh yeah, in Europe. Even the best, down to the best beaches, the best hotels, the best anything. So I think that's something that we have to come to terms with, like the reality that a lot of people are going to think like Tina Turner, and we should just listen. And it's like, you can't push back. She's dead. You can't push back. This video's from 1976, you know, but this is the mother of quite a few people. This is who inspired Beyonce, who they say Mick Jagger, like she was talking about Mick Jagger took her style, who Michael Jackson would listen to. This is at the crux of the American entertainment industry. That's all I would say.
Yeah, I feel you on that for sure. Damn it, there was a thought I had and I just completely lost the thought. Anyway, in the chat, Yana B says, far too many of our people are compromised. Tina was no different. She says, it's very sad what Oni is saying, but true. Instead of us doing for self, we look to others to take ownership of our talent. Damn civil rights. We dropped the ball. So that American exceptionalism thing.
I have no problem. I have no problem when anyone who says about themselves that they are the best. I have no problem because the fisherman never gonna say his fishes stink or the stinkest. So I have no problem with tapping yourself on the shoulder and claiming to be the best in anything. I have no problem with that, even if the facts may not bear it out. Because when you say the best I doing what, you know what I mean? Okay, you say you're the best athletes in the world, and you point to basketball. Okay, that's no pro. You're the best at basketball, but there's badminton, there's swimming, there is there is soccer. There's many different kinds of forms of that. This idea of what sports is. You say I'm the best at music because my music is all over the world. Even though you don't speak French, you don't speak Spanish, you don't know who um, what's the I can't remember the lady's name right now, but the the United States has a large microphone because economically and militarily, the most important part, they ensure that they have a large microphone. But I'll tell you this. Whitney Houston is said to be a great singer. But if you pass any religious institution on Sunday morning, you will find a Whitney Houston. You'll find her Whitney Houston. You polish her up. You put a wig on her. She has a pretty face. Put some makeup on her. You tell her some songs you need to sing. Instant Whitney Houston. You know, for me, I wanna be a part of the group of people who claim to be the best at running countries, the best at organizing and creating societies, functional societies. This is the claim to fame that I would like to have. Not to say that I'm the best singer or the best jumper or the best whatever. These are games, but that's just me. But as far as I'm concerned, it's nothing wrong with having your claim to fame and calling yourself the best. I consider myself to be the best. But me, I don't have to hide within a group, because within any society or groups of people, you're gonna have very talented people, you're gonna have very average people, and you're gonna have a whole lot of mediocre people. So the larger the population is, you will have a large population of talented people, and then you will have a large group of mediocre, average people, and a whole lot of mediocre people. So it's not a surprise that in any groups of people, or coupling of people, groupings of people, you want to push the most talented people at the forefront. And if you have a large group, swaths or groups of people, obviously those large groups of people going to be at the forefront, especially when you living in the modern day Roman Empire. These going to be the most prominent people. But where are they actually taking you? What is their specific agenda? Because this lady, for all the talent she had, she left a $250 million empire to who? Her white driver, who was a husband. She didn't leave it to her husband. She didn't leave it to her grandchildren. She left it to her white driver, who she married. This is where this talent is taking us. And I'm not trying to go there in that direction. I'm sorry.
You got to something I'm reminded of too is, Oprah Winfrey, who's probably a little bit younger than Tina Turner maybe. She once admitted in some of her writings or something that she grew up wishing that she could be a white woman. And I think Tina Turner and them probably have the same type of thing too. They grew up wishing they could be white. And we gotta look at the circumstances that they grew up in too, But my thing is, how do we get to these people to sing a different tune? Because if you're gonna sing a tune, why this tune? How do we get to these people, or do we just leave them singing the same tune? What do you guys say?
I say you don't. I say you appeal to people who are on the fence, and appeal to people who are at least open to being persuaded in towards your direction. Some people who have made up their mind, it's an uphill battle, and some battles you shouldn't even fight anymore. Sometimes you have to let the dead bury the dead. People who are on the fence, people who have one foot in one direction and one foot in another, maybe you may be able to convince them to come over to your side. People who are open to be convinced of an alternative view of the world, then you should appeal to them, and through your actions, your speech, dialogue, whatever you do. But people who have made up their mind, in particular this particular lady, she sees herself as a European woman, and you can't tell her she is intentionally trying to distance herself away from that African experience that she came from in Nutbush, Tennessee. So these with some people there is no convincing. It's almost like you're trying to convince what's the guy on Django? What's the guy's name on Django? Steven. It's almost like you're trying to convince Steven, hey man, we don't necessarily have to work with the plantation. We could have our own stuff. I mean? He'll put you in the box. He'll put you in the heat box. You leave these people alone, charge them to the game. But I'll stop and let Oni go.
He always saying that. That's the thing though. It's like that's the thing that I'm coming to terms with. You can't win everybody. No, that's the reason why I'm trying to distance myself from the American scene. Because we all kind of grew up. Well, not grew up really, or not all of us, but a lot of us, came across a lot of good, talented African American speakers who were really bent on getting everybody on board, right? And we kind of bought into the bullshit. And I mean, I was actually just telling somebody this the other day. People like success stories. A lot of people listen to people who are successful, right? That's what it is. And the classic example is, you might look at Serena Williams and say between Oni and Serena Williams, Oni might be smarter than Serena Williams, right? Oni might be stronger than her, just based off of man versus woman. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe, right? Either way, Oni might run faster than her, obviously, right? But if she opened up a tennis class and I opened up a tennis class, you go to Serena Williams, because she's a successful tennis player, right? The thing with regard to what we're on is that one we have to have greater success inside of the Pan-African circles, right? Two, we have to be able to get we have to be able to fund people and finance people and give people a livelihood. But three, and probably most important, is that we also just have to be able to look at somebody and say, you know what, I can't help you, or you can't help me. Some people are gonna fall through the cracks, and that's okay. You don't make a story of it. You don't make a recruitment. Like, there's tons of white people right now who are like, I want to embrace the Yoruba faith or some shit, right? White people ain't tripping over them. There's tons of Asian people who are like, you know what, I want to be an American. White people ain't tripping over them. Asian people ain't tripping over them, right? But you get like a black person who's watching anime all day, who think, Konichiwa and all that. And we're just like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you backward ass? And it's like, just let's leave them alone. Like, yes, the white boy is going to use them. So, and I think I put this out one of my shorts. So then if you were in a position to hurt somebody who's being used against you, then hurt the person being used against you. But if we're trying to just recruit people, not even from a position of success, not even from a position of power, but just to say, hey, you, Tina Turner, I know that this white boy gave you, $20 million, but you need to stop whatever. You can't satisfy him. You got to satisfy me. I'm going to give you jack shit, right? She's going to say no. I'm going to say that.
I don't know if it's my computer, but it's kind of glitching on my side. I guess my computer's acting up. I don't know. KW Don 7 is saying he's out there. Thank you for the what do you call this thing again? Thank you for the super chat. KW Don 7. He says Tina Turner is the prototype for divestors and swirlers. She married down to get a Urugu. She, like many of them, loved the devil because the devil gave her nothing. That's an interesting thought, that the devil gave her nothing. Provide Triggers is here. She says, greetings, everyone. This proves what Dr. Umar has been talking about. Marrying interracially is a form of economic betrayal. That's a good point. Yana B says, there's no convincing our people of nothing. You have to understand what the civil rights movement did to blacks in this country. It destroyed them on every level. So I'll ask this one last question before we move on. But if what Yana B is saying is true, right, then what's the point of putting up a resistance? Let me start with Buana on that one.
I don't completely agree with Yana B. I don't completely agree when harsh reality says it either. I think that some of our people are salvageable. I think that some of our people honestly does not have an alternative. We in these Pan-African spaces, some of us are offering a legitimate alternative where people look at their lives and look at the alternatives that's being offered. Because they come to these forums and they come to different Pan-African forums and they listen intently. And if they implement some of the things that we talk about, we talk about reading, we talk about economics. Last week we had a nutritional conversation the other day, just to get that brain functioning. I think that if they was to try the alternative, they would see some benefits to it and would be more interested in embracing this idea of looking at self first, rather than looking outside of self for some kind of saviorship. Looking at self first, looking in the mirror first, taking a hard view in the mirror and looking at self and trying to gain some perspective, and in turn trying to execute these ideas into the world. And it's difficult to execute these ideas in the Western world, but you have to be a human being on this planet that is competitive, that is well informed, that do things that are just going to be beneficial to you. And I understand in the Western world, when you say, well, doing what's beneficial to me is basically, you know, kissing up to whoever. Yeah, that's one route to get to whatever goal you may have in mind. But there's many different kinds of routes to get to the goal that you ultimately want to achieve. This sister ultimately wanted to achieve whiteness, and in trying to achieve whiteness, she left the United States, which is a so-called mixed economy, and she went to a completely uh, um, uh, multipolar, I guess, if that's the word, European society, integrated herself there, married a European man, completely disconnected. You know, yeah, what I say. She say she ain't giving no money to her children or grandchildren. So there's a complete disconnect into entering this haven of whiteness. So that whole white mechanic or white driver gets all her money to leave to his heirs and successors and whoever else. So this was ultimately what she wanted to do. That's her route. That was her goal. She achieved that in the end at 80. But there are others who have a different course and a different path. And I feel like, for some of us who see that there's an alternative route to go, we should try to use that alternative route and get into where we want to be. But I'll stop.
Only what say you to the notion that Yana B is saying that you can't convince our people of nothing. How do you feel about that?
Well, like I said, that's why I said I think one of the things that it goes back to the African American scholars. We have to we took them too seriously, and because we took them too seriously, like that, like the conclusions that we're going to come to are really local, so like they had a very international mindset, right? But kind of ignored their national situation. And what we're doing is that we're taking that, the beautiful international mindset, and we're drawing up conclusions that they drew up based off of their, basically it's just a different timeline, but we're still looking back at them as intellectual resources. So, and I think that might have been a little bit too, whatever, esoteric or whatever. But what I'm saying, long story short, is, America is Black America is in a really bad situation, but that's not all Black people. I remember, I tell you, I went to Jamaica very briefly, and I just sat there and I thought about the soda that was there. One of the things that was interesting about Jamaica was that when you go into the to the stores, you might find a bunch of foreign products, sure, but you also find a bunch of not just local but Caribbean products. So you're gonna find made in Trinidad. You're gonna find made in Haiti. You're gonna find made in Barbados or made in Bahamas, whatever, right? You're gonna find made in Jamaica. That sort of production level, if people you realize that if they are producing things, if they have manufacturing in the Caribbean, right, all they need to do is connect with another African nation, whether it's a Caribbean nation, whether it's a nation in Africa. And the reality is this: they're doing it. Just recently, the Jamaican High Commissioner said, we're going to buy vehicles from Nigeria. We're proud that, people that look like us, they tone it down and said people from the South like us, but people who look like us are producing vehicles, right? And they're like, we don't want to go to our usual buyer, white people, right? That's all we need. So it's not like, oh yeah, our people, it's not that our people are gone, right? It's that if you're in America, yeah, situation is tight. But if you're in Africa and the Caribbean, you have there's There's unlimited potential. It's just a question of us getting getting that mindset towards how we can build that wealth. And that's kind of what I want to explore in this next book of mine. But that's realistically, and that's kind of like what I explore while I'm engaging people in Tanzania. I'm engaging people, and I'm giving them little capital and see what they could do with it. And sure enough, some people are doing really good things, but you have to engage them. Like one of these sisters told me, in fact, I said, look, if you want this much shillings from me, what you got to do is you got to read this chapter from Marcus Garvey. She reads the chapter and she says, you know what? I'm very grateful. Nobody's ever told me how to save money. Nobody's ever told me a methodology how to save money. And this is probably the reason why I'm always poor. And realistically, we have to come back to, have to come to grips with this, that realistically, nobody's teaching our people how to become economically successful. But the opportunity is there, big time. One of these women, I was chatting with, she's buying different properties, different businesses. She's on her way to becoming, wealthy. And it's really simple. It's really straightforward. And I think success could be replicated. But as far as, if you're like in America, yeah, you might say, you know what, things are looking bad. Yeah, sure. Things are going to look bad when you're in another person's country. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that a lot of the speakers in the past just didn't admit. When you're in somebody else's land, you're not going to do better than them. So it really never made any sense why people were like, look how we're doing worse than them. Well, duh. If I'm in China, I'm going to do worse than the Chinese. Especially if I'm politically active. I'm going to. If I'm in Russia, I'm going to do worse than the Russians. And you might say, well, there are some people who do better than the white man inside the white. Yeah, of course they are. And they're not politically active. They're not politically significant. They're not 12% of the population. They're not 14, like the Indians. They're not 12% of the population. They're like 5 people. 5 guys. You know what I'm saying? Like of course they're going to do better, right? But anyway, I'm going to say, I'm going to say whatever.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that Oni is having some greater understanding that in America, he couldn't be an angel investor. He couldn't be an angel investor. By the way, I'm curious to know what percentage you take it away from these chicks. Needless to say, what percentage you keep it when the businesses they start now. But I'm curious. In the United States, he can be an angel investor. In an angel investment, you probably have to at least start at $1 million. But he's an ultimate angel investor in places like Tanzania, all the African continents he on. So if he is investing, at a financial end, $1,000, $5,000, whatever, for startup companies and businesses in whatever African countries he go in, and contractually now, because you got to do it legal. Contractually, he says, give me 20% of your business. So imagine if he does that in all the places he goes into, and these are thriving economies. So on top of his salary he gets from the United States, he is also earning a supplementary salary in these international companies. Now he's an international businessman. And the money ain't gonna stop. While he's sleeping, them chicks who opening up these companies are gonna be working for him because he's taking a percentage of that business. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that when he talks about his view of the world in terms of blackness, it's becoming more international. And I think that that's the way we should look at the grand scope of things in terms of Pan-Africanism and Garveyism and all these other good theories, but we actually actualizing it and actually making it practical now.
I'll let KW Don 7 have the last words here. He says, it's better that African-centered thought is not trendy because you can filter out the phonies and the fakers. He then says, the only thing that will convince our people is consequences. And that I agree with that 100%. We don't have the ability to dish out consequences to a Tina Turner who will give birth to Beyonce, who will give birth to the next asshole down the line, right? We don't have the ability to give out punishment for that stuff. That's the thing. Good discussion. Good discussion. Let's go on to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 is brain chips, human evolution, or Frankenstein business. Let's see what the link provides us. Hopefully my computer doesn't act up too much.
The concept of brain chips, such as those developed by Elon Musk's Neuralink, involves implanting small devices into the human brain to enhance cognitive abilities and create a direct interface between the brain and external devices or networks. The pursuit of this technology stems from the desire to revolutionize various aspects of human life, ranging from treating neurological disorders to augmenting cognitive capabilities and enabling seamless interaction with digital systems. However, as we embark on this uncharted territory, we must ask ourselves, what will the widespread use of brain chips mean for the essence of humanity? Will it fundamentally change how we perceive ourselves and our relationship with technology? Hello and welcome. This is Rain Smith, and you are watching the New Africa channel. Billionaire Elon Musk's brain chip company Neuralink has finally been approved for testing on humans. On Thursday, May 25th, 2023, Neuralink said that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, had given the green light to its first-in-human clinical trial, a critical milestone after earlier struggles to gain approval. So far, Neuralink has only tested the brain chips on animals, including pigs and monkeys. The FDA nod represents an important first step that will one day allow our technology to help many people, Neuralink said in a tweet. The company added recruitment is not yet open to participate in the clinical trial, but that they'd be sharing more information on that soon. So if you're keen to have a computer chip in your brain, you'll have to wait. Musk is so passionate about brain implants because he believes that they might heal a variety of diseases such as obesity, autism, depression, and schizophrenia, as well as enable web browsing and telepathy. The Neuralink device will first target restoring vision and enabling movement of muscles in people who cannot do so, Musk had previously said. He also made headlines late last year when he declared he was so sure the devices were safe that he would implant them in his children. The FDA, on the other hand, did not share Musk's optimism, denying Neuralink's applications to commence human trials, citing severe safety concerns, including the device's lithium battery and overheating. According to Neuralink employees, the regulator was also concerned about the possibility of the implant's small wires migrating through sections of the brain and questioned whether and how it could be removed without injuring brain tissue. Furthermore, the pace of the company's research has also cost the lives of animals, bringing the company under scrutiny for potential animal welfare violations. Neuralink employees have also complained that the corporation rushed animal testing, causing unnecessary pain and deaths. As per Reuters, the company has murdered over 1,500 animals since 2018, including more than 280 sheep, pigs, and monkeys. Many reactions to Neuralink's tweet announcing the approval of its first human clinical study were filled with praises and well wishes from verified accounts. But not everyone was enthusiastic about Neuralink's trial getting approved. Much of the backlash came from an apparent distrust of Musk, and not the tech itself. Some people were asking Musk to test the brain implants on himself. Also, others were not convinced that the technology would be used for positive ends in Musk's hands. If this is what you really think he's going to use it for, you're delusional, wrote one Twitter user. No trust or belief in him or anything he has to do with, tweeted another. Lots of people are posting GIFs of exploding heads, likely referencing either past explosive hiccups from Musk's companies, like Tesla's catching fire spontaneously, or reports that hundreds of animals tested by Neuralink had died. The approval granted to Elon Musk's Neuralink to implant brain chips in humans holds immense relevance for the world going forward, regardless of personal enthusiasm or reservations. This breakthrough represents a significant step towards the integration of technology and biology, with the potential to transform healthcare, augment human capabilities, and redefine our relationship with technology. However, it also raises profound ethical, privacy, and societal concerns that necessitate careful consideration and regulation. There is no doubt that as we navigate this uncharted territory, the implications of brain-computer interfaces will shape the future of human existence and demand collective engagement and thoughtful discourse. So, what do you think of our video? Are you excited about Neuralink getting approved to place their brain implants in humans? Or are you unconvinced by the implant, its potential, and the brain behind the technology? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and as always, do subscribe to the New Africa channel for more exciting future videos.
All right. Brain chips, human evolution, or Frankenstein. Let's start with Oni on this. Oni, what are your thoughts about what you just saw?
Well, I mean, we already knew this was going to happen. Like, we already knew this was coming. So I don't know what people are surprised about. Like, you watch Star Wars, you watch Star Trek, like, and then you know Elon Musk is a nerd, you know. I mean, I don't know what is surprising here. If the technology exists to do something, a lot of times people are actively trying to do it because to them it's cool, and to them it might have some medical benefit, but it also has some military application. You know, if you can start moving muscles, you could start growing muscles. You could possibly, you know, become a competitive athlete. You know, you could probably sing better. You know, if you can augment. If somebody has some sort of echo going on, right? But if you can do those sort of things, you can do those sort of things. I'm not surprised. I don't know what would even be the pushback. Like I said, I think one of the troubles one of the philosophies that's kind of big among Black people, like what Yonobi says something about the Caribbean and Africa, I agree in a sense that a lot of Black people have this big, profound, deep belief in entitlement. You know, like we're entitled to other people's things, you know? But like my thing is this, like, if this white boy wants to put something in his head, what's this got to do with me? I mean, as long as he's not putting it in my head, right? What do I care? Now, you could say, well, he might put something in his head and he might become smarter and be able to do better in school. And therefore, yeah, but I shouldn't be going to a school anyway. You know, the trouble is that a lot of us want to be right beside this white boy. A lot of us just want to be right beside this white boy. A lot of us want this white boy to give us a job. You know, we have this sense of entitlement. And I'm not going to say it's just in America, it's just in the West, although it's really deeply ingrained in the West. But I could say, for instance, some dude hit me up talking about, hey, I need money because, you know, if I could go to school. And, you know, and I'm like, wait a second, you asking me for how much money so I can send you to school? Who the fuck, like, what? And he was just my Uber driver. You know, back in Tanzania, I was like, ain't no way I'm gonna give you. He's like, I'm sick. I also need to go to school, and it's like you feel entitled to somebody else's money for some damn reason, right? But it's the same with this. You know, white folk obviously have a huge sense of entitlement or huge sense of exploitation, obviously, right? Regardless, like if they want to do this shit and then it just zaps and burns their brains out, good for fucking them, you know. All I'm saying is that I wouldn't put it in my head if that's the question. And I wouldn't want to put it in my children's head. And if it becomes a requirement to put it in people's head, here's the funny thing is, or the reality is, that a lot of people are going to go along with it. Now, unfortunately, that might be the MO. That might be the rollout. You know? And if it is the MO, is the rollout, one, Elon Musk is going to become richer, obviously. But two, yeah, Elon Musk is gonna get richer, but two, like he got onto the business before it was supposed to be. And that's the thing that I'm really taken aback by, is the fact that a lot of times there are a lot of technological innovations that we know, like we're not even working on. You know, the whole, not to go a little too much a tangent, but the whole Uber Eats phenomenon, we could have done that, but we didn't. And I mean, obviously, this is a little bit more advanced than Uber Eats or what have you, but it's a little bit, right? But notwithstanding that, we have to like what we are living in is this white boy is just rolling out some technology and putting it in front of us, and we're well, I don't like it. Well, then don't fucking take it if you don't have to, you know. But if you have to, guess what? You're in his fucking country, and that's what like I don't know what you expect to be his neighbor for how long. And you know, it's unfortunate. Maybe another application will be they're gonna put it in a prisoner's head, or they're gonna put it in a bunch of rabble rousers' heads. They're going to be, you know, it's a really unfortunate circumstance, but I don't know how black people are going to get it to their heads. Do not let this white boy have dominion over you. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, only I think that's exact. When I saw the story, that's what I thought about. That's the very last thing you said. This is the problem when you have other people creating reality for you. This is the problem. That whole the jab scene, a lot of people got that shit really kind of against their will. Their job, their livelihood was based on it. You know, these guys, an asshole like him with the power backing, you don't know what they'll look to force on folks. And that's my issue. Y'all be in the chat says the point is we just not ready for any of this. And that's the issue I have with it. By the way, peace and black power to Brother Bakari. Shout out to Bakari out there in the chat. You know, that's what I thought about when I saw this. But let's hear from Buana. Buana, what say you?
First, let me say to Oni, he's breaking these Tanzanians bad, and he should know better. And as an American person, tell these guys, give them a crash course in capitalism. When you're doing business with Americans understand WIIFM. When you're doing any business with Americans or anyone from the Western world, they understand the perspective of WIIFM. What's in it for me? So you giving this man free money, obviously any American or any person in the Western world and say, well, what do I get back for doing this for you? Cause I ain't gonna just give you this money for free. So when you say, "Oh, give me money because I need to go to school," he has to ask himself, "What can I give to Oni that he'll feel is substantial enough to cause him to reach down in his pocket and return something in kind?" We don't just give away free money in the Western world. It doesn't work that way. So I don't know what free money he's kind of game he was playing when he was in Tanzania. He need to start breaking these dudes badly, because if they feel like he's the bag, he needs to give them a crash course in capitalism and how that actually works. We ain't gonna just give you money for free, bro. It don't work that way. But in terms of this particular guy, as I stated before, these brothers and them, these white boys, it seems like they always want to improve on a product that is natural. It's like water is not good enough. Let's put some colored number six, some sugar, and some carbonated water and call it soda. Soda is better than water. So it's like my brain, after millions of years of evolution, we want to improve on that. So we want to put a chip in your head. you know, Elon Musk, when he been on this earth for what, maybe 50 years, so he feels like he understands human evolution so much so that he could put a chip in your brain to make it function better than it's been functioning, how it's been functioning before. We're gonna improve on your brain, which been evolving for millions and millions and millions of years. I feel like it's some Frankenstein business, and I feel like these white boys are very good marketers, and they're not gonna come in a form of, this potentially can blow your brain out. No, he's gonna say that we're gonna improve and make you smarter, and we're gonna make you more intelligent, and you will be able to do all these things, and we're gonna help with obesity, on autism and depression. They're marketing. This is a marketing strategy, just to get you to use his product for cost to cost. You have to pay for that shit. But the last thing that they came with was, what we was under with the last virus situation, and they made the whole world take this medicine. Will not name, will not name, but they make the whole world forcefully take these medicines. Made the governments of the world fall in line and take these medicines. God forbid, what will be the long-term effect of these medicines after 20, 30 years? You'll wait to see that. But they have the ability to do that with their money and their resources and their ability to control economies. But I am concerned about this. But I won't be putting this in my head. But I know how it's gonna be sold to our people. I know how it's gonna be. They are marketers, so I know how it's gonna be sold to our people. Of course, you gotta have the intelligent people among us who's gonna automatically say hell no. But for the vast numbers of us, they'll be running like they run to get Michael Jordans, and how they run to get the new Kanye Yeezys. They're gonna run to get this microchip and put inside their heads, and you're gonna see a whole lot of ridiculous things be the long-term effect of these microchips put into the brains of people. To the brains of people, it's like human evolution is not good enough. You know what I mean? Nature is not good enough. We need to improve on it. This guy, I don't know, man. I don't know where he comes from. I know he's a South African, and I already don't trust him. But I just think it's not necessarily a good state of affairs for us, and people need to be aware of what's coming down the pipeline in terms of what these people are trying to do. They're trying to really create zombies out of human beings with this microchip business. But I think it's unfortunate. But we need to be forewarned before it actually is implemented in societies, but going forward. But I'll stop there.
Look at this. Let me say this right here. Oh, sorry.
To both of you. To both of you, it's one thing to be made aware of it. What's the strategy to avoid it, though, in your minds?
Well, look, let me share this though. So I actually got one of those chips for my son, right? And he wasn't doing too well in school before. So, but after he got the chip, he was doing much better than the rest of the students, and here's another thing. Sometimes he used to have a little bit of behavioral problems, but now I could just turn on my phone and press a button and he stops. So a lot of the behavioral issues at home no longer there. So I'm really like, I'm not gonna be like, I think that the chip should, you see what I'm saying? Now, obviously that's not true, but that's what's gonna be. Hey, but look, that's just gonna be rolled out. Black people are gonna be sold this pretty damn easily. And the trouble is this, that we have a population that's doing the worst in school. We have a population that has the most behavioral problems, quote unquote. We have white people agitating to control us and put us under control. You already know a black person gonna come out with a commercial like that. Oh yeah, my kid wasn't doing too well. Right? And you see, it's me. I could do it. I'm not saying I would. I'm just saying, and I don't want anybody to clip that, but it is what it is. But what I'm saying is that these white folk know what's up. They know what time it is. So the solution for you as a black person is to get the fuck out. That's it. It's like talking about that movie Get Out, right? What was the guy woke up for a split second and all he said to the dude was get out, leave. Like you ain't fixing shit here. This is a fucking broken ass society. Leave. But we choose to stick around. Well, I mean, shit, they're rolling out some other thing, Shit, oh, the white man just came up with another tank, Let's just stick around. Because it's not like this white boy is not going to other places. Of course he is. But where does he have dominion? Where does he have dominion? And the trouble is that, like I said, one of the things that I keep going back to it, but the Americans will tell you, this white boy got dominion everywhere. The Chinese are letting you know he don't. The Ugandans are letting you know he don't. But for some reason, we are so convinced by these scholars who are like, hey, the white man is supreme all over the planet. He's the most powerful thing on the face of this earth. He's not. But you're in America, so you think so. You're in his dominion, so you think so. You don't realize that if you want to push back against somebody, you don't do it in their house. You do it from outside. Or you do it when they come to your house. But we there building in their land. And they've been building in their land. We just let them hand us everything. And then all of a sudden, we there, oh man, I don't agree with what he did. Oh, he's doing it. Of course he's doing that. Because it's his country. Whoever's in the driver's seat determines the destination. If you want to be allowed, passenger seat, passenger, fine. If you want to be allowed, back seat, that's okay. But the driver got the last say. And unfortunately, this driver don't care for you. So yeah, he's gonna say, hey, look, your people are not under control. Y'all gonna get a chip. If you go to jail, you getting a chip. Just like if you go to prison, you getting your fingerprint. You might be like, I don't want to get my fingerprint done. Oh, you getting your fingerprint done. If you visit somebody in prison, you getting your fingerprint done. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. You getting your picture taken. No ifs, ands, or buts. You getting the damn chip if you end up in prison. And you know who's going to prison. And they're going to just find any old excuse to put you in a prison and get that chip in your head. And now you got a motherfucking chip in your head. And like I said, somebody could just press a button and you don't know what those electrodes are going to do. Might change your behavior, sure. You thinking you go on a website, you go on a Malcolm, you go look up Malcolm X's speech, and then you get a zap in your head. You get a damn zap in your head. That's it. You ain't gonna get a zap in your head. You go look up Malcolm X's speech, and then suddenly you're gonna forget what Malcolm X even mean. You're gonna be like, what? What was I doing? What is this? You just get a automatic turn it off. I'm telling you, man, the only thing you could do is leave. Make like a tree. I can't hear you. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think so. That's what I'm saying. They told you already. Not that they told you already. But what I'm saying is this: I was in so Koku's in a science field, right? I'm in a science field. When you're in a science field, you know, based off of your colleagues, you know, Koku went to grad school. He heard his colleagues talking. When they were talking biology, I think, Koku, you do biology, right? Or is it chemistry? I can't remember. But whatever it is, biology, yeah. Will you hear them talking about the movies they like or the video games they like? You're going to hear them talking about biology stuff, biology related things. Like there's some people who are nerds who were talking about biology related things. Because when I was in physics, they were talking about Star Trek and Star Wars. Like, oh man, you know, I was really inspired by Star Trek. I was really inspired by Star Wars. Whatever. And that's good. It's good for them to be inspired by media. You know, you might have people talking about, oh, I was inspired by this virus movie. You know, I was by Parasite or some shit, right? Whatever it is, they're talking about that stuff, right? People who are engineers watched Manchurian Candidate and said, you know what? This will be a good device. I mean, I never watched Manchurian Candidate, so I don't even know what the reference is. But I'm saying that people watch this stuff and they know. So you gonna just get a dab. I mean, cause I think it was 1984, that book. I think you would get a like the. I thought it was a nice book, but toward the end, it was that they really did put a chip in the guy's head. This was a book written in like 1950 something, where he would get zapped or something, or he would just forget everything that he ever knew, and he wouldn't even know. He would just sit there, totally unconscious, and then finally they killed him, I think. But it's like that's like they know what the capabilities are, and they're finna roll it out on you, and we still sitting down like, shit, man, I don't like where this country's going. Okay, you're gonna be like one of them dead damn animals. You know, I don't know where this country's going. Well, unfortunately, like I feel sorry for the animals though, because they didn't have a choice. We have a choice, but we just choosing to be here at this point.
Only going in tonight. Only going in. No, I'm appreciating all these comments. You know, the only thing I would say is, the only thing I would ask is, what do you say to the people who can't afford to get out on it? What do you say to those elements of people who can't afford it? They can't afford to get out. They can't afford to leave. What should they do?
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, it's really difficult to say who can or can't afford to leave. You know, the only people who can't afford to leave are the people who are like not even citizens or some shit. You know, like the amount of money that black folk get from these, like, again, black people in America have the highest income for any black people on the country. Okay, so if other black people who have much lower income can find a way to fly to America, right? You on much higher income can find a way to fly out. And that's just basic. You know, because I'm telling you, the people I went across in Africa, I'm telling you, like, if you made $100, no, let me see, how much was it? So $300K, if you made $100 in a month, right? You were good. You were good. You were good. You made it.
$100 a month.
A month, you made it.
Crazy.
You made it. You know what I'm saying? There probably was very few people who were not like, who didn't like own a freaking like a big business. You know what I'm saying? Who made more than $200 a month. Okay? $100 was good. That said, they find a way to fly to America. Now, not really Tanzania, I'm not gonna hold you, but still, they find a way to fly to America. How the freak you with you know, a plane ticket costs less than the Jordans? You know, a plane ticket costs less than a PS5. You know, a lot of people weren't even buying a PS5 from PlayStation. They were buying it when it was inflated. You know, there's no such thing as, oh, we don't like the only way you wouldn't have enough money in America is if like I actually don't know how, like unless you just didn't work, like you just refused to work, or you couldn't work because of whatever. But there's no way, you know. And I mean, obviously, there's the family connection. There's the, you know, like for instance, I have this son where, you know, that's a little more complicated. But generally speaking, you know, the idea that the population with the highest income among black people can't find a ticket, that's not realistic. Now, what they could do with that ticket in another country, that might be something to discuss, right? But whether they can afford a ticket, no, that's not even real. That's not remotely real. You know, I'll say this, matter of fact, I forgot to talk about this. I was going to talk about it on Brother Bakari show, but I went to the, you know, the lounge the other day, right? I might have spent too much money, okay? But I thought about how much money I spent because them drinks is big. You know, like let's say one drink was $13, not including gratuity. You know, so you spending $15 a drink or whatever, right? And you buy more than one drink, right? Or that bar could have walked away with 10 grand, you know, within 3 hours, 4 hours. We can spend. It's just a question of, but the thing is this, that we want, like most of our people want to live under this white boy. And that's what we have to come to terms with. Tina Turner wants to live under this white boy. And if this white boy says, hey, you know what? This chip can improve your child's future, she's going to get that damn chip. There's no, you know, but the question is, well, what can you do about the people who could, like, all of us could afford it. Nobody wants to go. So I'm talking to the people who are like, hey, you know what? I want better for my future. You're not going to be able to save people. You're not going to save people in the cage while you in the cage. You understand? You ain't going to be able to go, you ain't going to be in a prison and save the prisoners while you a prisoner. If you try to break out a prisoner, don't be a prisoner. But also this, you're gonna come to learn that some of the prisoners want to be there. They want the hot in the cot, 3 hots in the cot. They want it. And so what you have to do is you have to just get out and say, you know what? I don't know what is between you white Americans and black Americans, or you blacks and whites in America, whatever it is. I don't know what it is with y'all, but y'all can have it. You know, and it's
institutionalized, man. Spitting fire today.
Hey, why not? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we only got 3 hours. Why not?
In the chat, Trigger Happy 262 said something that I was thinking of. He says, my only thing is we have to keep it out of Africa. Problem is, they're already bringing some of these Westernisms slowly into Africa. This is why African culture is important. We need to establish the immune system before it's too late. Lastly, he says, Obadeli Kamban's father, Kamal Kamban, talked about how the FBI were rolling out getting fingerprints on black men to prevent the rise of a black leader or strong black men in general.
I want to challenge Trigger Happy. I want to challenge Trigger Happy because I think that Trigger Happy is on the continent right now. I think he is on the continent. I think he's an African person on the continent. And he is big on cultural values and perspective and spirituality and things like that. Now, this platform facilitates what he does, but we also talk about different subjects. But my challenge to him is to get a YouTube site and to possibly offer an alternative listeners to what he likes to describe as African culture, African spirituality. Lend his voice. Do the work too, brother. You know what I mean? If you don't want to come on this platform or whatever, do the work too. I'm sure you're doing it on the ground where you are, but other people need to hear it as well. So bring your voice to the forum as well. Become a part of KWAZ Radio so we can understand and learn from you as well. You know what I mean? So this is my challenge for him because he's on the continent and maybe he understands it at a deeper level than we do. So if you do the work and help assist in trying to be that buttress in people come from the Western world spreading that poison, my challenge to you is to be that buttress. But I'll leave it.
There's also the comment that these white folks need that chip. All you have to do is return to the source as African folks. That's an interesting comment as well. You know what? Let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 3. That was a good discussion. Anyone could click the link. You could join the panel tonight. Like only just reminded everyone, I'm cutting the show to 3 hours until viewership, or if viewership ever ascends again, and there's more momentum behind the show. So we'll end at 11. Let me drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 3. Click the link, join the panel, voice your thoughts. Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 tonight is, how do you generate electricity from a rock? I thought this was an interesting story. Let's check out the video clip and then we'll discuss it.
Time of creating this video, there is no constant electricity in Nigeria. 21 years old in Nigeria that never runs out of electric.
This guy right here is creating electricity just from stone, and that is why I'm here today, so that he can show me some of the work he have done and what he is planning to do with more of these.
Tolani is a native of Ekiti State, Nigeria, and he claimed to be the second person to discover electricity in Nigeria, but this time not from a dam, but a stone.
He's trying to be a number 2 person that we took light from stone. We have already found one before. Okay. That one took it from Kanji Dam, from inside water, and he want to be inside the record. He want to be the number 2. Took his own from stone.
I was filming a story somewhere in Ekiti State when this lady informed me there is somebody in the next town that generates electricity from stone.
Somebody that's generating light from rocks.
You generate light
from
rocks in that town.
Electric
from
so
rock.
Power is house.
For me, it would be difficult to believe this if I didn't see for myself. So I went to the next town to look for him. My goal is to meet this guy and see the electricity. I also want to have some word with him to find out how he discovered this stone. I also want to know if they are special stone that generate electricity, or he can make any stone generate electricity. So I traveled to the town.
You are the
Coco, you need a rack to generate internet.
Your name is what? Okay, they call you Tolani
Danger.
Tolani Danger.
Yes.
What is this danger? Is it because you do things that people cannot do? Is that why they put danger in your name?
We feel that if
He told me he couldn't communicate in English, and when I asked why, they said he didn't go to school. I became even surprised to know that this guy did not go to technical school, meaning that none of this talent coming from education. So how did he discover this stone, and how was he able to generate electricity from this stone?
This is the spot now where the light is coming from, and then this is where you connect the wire. Okay. So is there some things he can show us now that we can plug to see if the electricity is there?
The light is on. Let's go inside.
And to my surprise, the electricity was real. In their house, he was able to connect electric bulbs all over the house. And inside his room, which is where he practiced this talent, he decorated it with a lot of his handwork. Inside his room, he connected many things, including CD players, speakers, and many more.
Like, take a look at this now. Look at the lights. Look at all these things. Like, everything is connected right here. And all this power is being generated from stone. When he found the stone, how did he know that this stone can generate electricity?
I don't know that one. He's the only one that can answer that question. It is given by him from God.
Okay, God told him that this stone, something is there.
Yes.
And then he brought it home.
While in the room, I found another stone which he's currently working on. And according to him, he's planning to generate electricity that will power fridge, television, electric iron, and many more.
He said he wants to use the other stone to do another one.
Okay.
That one will be carrying freezer, television, fan, electric iron, and so on and so forth like that.
Okay, did he study this in school?
He did not go to school, any school. God just gave it to him.
This guy is doing this from pure talent. He didn't study this in the school, and he is doing this right in his house. I'm curious to know what he can even do if he has formal education or if we have support. This is incredible. I don't think you have heard that anybody's generating electricity from a stone just like this. How is he even able to find out that this stone has electricity in it? Let's just ask him to know more. Do you think this particular stone that you use to do this thing is only found in Ekiti State, or you can find it in any other place in Nigeria?
If you can find it anywhere in Nigeria.
I asked him how many kilowatts he's generating from this stone, and I wasn't surprised he didn't know anything about that. When I asked him what he thinks is causing the electricity inside this stone, he didn't know about that either. Tolani Danger has become very popular in his community for his invention, and not only is he very popular, he has become a source of inspiration for other school children. After spending some time checking out his invention, here is my own assessment. Remember, I'm not trying to talk down on anybody. This is my own assessment, meaning that this is what I think and it doesn't count. I tried all my best to ask some questions that could give us clue of how this thing started and how he was able to find out that there is electricity in this stone. But every time I try, I got no answer. The only answer he told me is that it is God. All my questions were left unanswered, even the most simple ones that you don't need any degree to answer. None of them were answered, making it more difficult to do more research on this topic. When I went back, I did more research on this topic, and after my research, I found out that it's impossible for this stone to generate electricity, meaning that whatever this guy is doing, there is more to it than what he's showing us. Let me repeat this again. I am not talking down on his talent. I believe that what he's doing is very amazing, and I'll be the happiest person in the world if this is true. I believe that this stone, which is generating this electricity, which is buried underground, something else was buried with it, and this could be a lithium battery. Meaning that if you remove this stone from the ground, there will still be electricity in the house because the electricity is being generated by the lithium battery. But I will be happy if what I'm saying right now is false. I was also told he once generated electricity from a fish, and that is very interesting. But I also feel like if you are able to do all these things, you should know the cause of this electricity, both the one from the fish and the one from the stone. But all the questions I asked were left unanswered. Poor education were to blame. Talking about poor education, I asked him if he would like to forward his education. This is what he said.
If somebody now want to sponsor you to go to school to do electrical engineering or anything, are you willing to further to learn more about it?
He said he won't be able to go. So unless if we do where he can be able to find the stone and to do the work, because this one is more than it's more than technical school now. This knowledge to me.
Okay. So he's not willing to further
to any education, but anybody that wants to help him should try to buy tools for him.
Okay. Does he know?
Provide financial support.
Okay. Does he know the tools that he needs? He knows the tools. Okay. Like if he is giving the tools the support, how many villages or how many communities, how many towns does he think he can cover using just tools?
can't contain the whole community, but hotel, school, houses, so he can do it for them.
Okay, he's sure that he can put electric in hotels, schools, houses, just using stone.
Yes.
Okay. So if somebody wants to support him now, what he really needs is financial support and tools, so that he can be able to.
He just wants Nigerians to help him to achieve his aim with whatever they can.
That will be the end of this video. Please tell me in the comment section what you think. Do you think he's actually generating electricity from this stone? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like. And if you want to watch more videos like this, please click the red subscribe button in front of your screen and turn on the bell notification that comes up next, so that you'll be the first person to know when I post my next video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.
So I don't know if it was done intentionally or not. By the way, this lagging issue is a StreamYard issue, because I see StreamYard is showing me my internet connection is like very low Wi-Fi, but I'm actually plugged into the Ethernet, so it's not that at all. And I've seen StreamYard do this to other streams on KWAZ Radio too. But I don't know if they did this intentionally, not to give away, the secret sauce or what have you, but I felt like the interviewer did kind of a poor job in this piece, in my opinion. Really, I mean, it's to me, it's kind of a jumbled mess a little bit, what they presented. In the chat, Gunnar says, Black people are so low in self-esteem that they have to show and expose their magic to show people they are smart. He will be dead by 2 a.m. June 4th, 2023. Gunnar also says, this is a scam. He said Nigerian? No, it's a scam. Right? He said that's Gas Them Up's family right there. With that said, Oni, what did you see? What did you take away from that video just now?
I think that was the dumbest thing I ever said in my life. I'm joking. That was real though. Like, what? Hey, you can't generate no power from a rock. That was I don't know, man. The thing is, I think we tend to forget, that we tend to forget that there were videos when the internet first came out, type where black folk in America were talking about, I saw a leprechaun over there, and they all just kind of reacted to a leprechaun. Like, this is just stupid. It's just dumb. It's not like, no, you can't. He said, I got a rock and I generated and you see him screwed up wires. Like, that's just, I agree with the interviewer, I agree with the interviewer in the sense of it ain't real. And that's the trouble. Like, I don't know if the interviewer, I don't know if the whole thing is staged or if the community really believes that this guy is generating power from a rock. But if the community really believes it and he's really a respectable guy, like, this is what I was talking about before when I said, if you are the leader of a country, how do you know who's good versus who's bad? How do you know who's good versus who's bad? Because when it comes to you're on the top, you're gonna have people pushing for you to give this kid an opportunity to, wheel out some rocks and power your hotels. And he's just gonna get a bunch of money. I'm not gonna hold you. When they were asking, should we sponsor this boy to go to school? I was kind of like, I hope they don't. You know what I mean? Not that I want him to go to school or nothing, but it's like, it's so freaking crazy. It's just so crazy. You know? You want to talk about I want to chew in my head. No, I was just capping, but like, yeah, it's just because, all right, so how you get power, how you get energy. So I think that's a probably important thing. It's really about transferring, I guess you could say, like, usually, like, one of the ways is like kinetic energy to what was it, potential energy, right? So with the dam, it would be you taking the movement of the turbines and then you store up that energy, right? With, like, you could do with a river, that's the same sort of differential. Remember that Sheikh Anta Diop wrote a really good book on the Federated Union of Africa, and he was kind of explaining the different ways to generate energy, type thing. Even with solar energy, you know, you take the photons that are pretty much packets of energy and you convert it. A rock, you put a bunch of wires in a rock, like what? Because the thing about it too, the thing about the rock is that even if you could get some energy from a rock, like even if you could get, I don't know, some of the motions of the atoms that are not really moving that much. I mean, this guy getting that microscopic transformation, okay, fine. Even if you do that, when you take energy out of something, it's conservation of energy. Conservation of energy. When you take energy out of a quote unquote battery, the battery's going to deplete. You know, the reason why hydroelectricity works is because you're really taking from the already present energy from the gravity, right? When it comes to solar energy, you're taking, you know, the sun is already like a huge source of energy, right? For a rock, if like what energy are you taking? And you're getting it from wires? Like, no, come on. Come on. Although I could say this, magnets, like if the rocks were magnetic, you could possibly exploit a magnet, right? But not really, you know. But that's pretty much the only. But like these rocks are not magnets, and well, as far as I can tell. But of course I can't tell because I'm not there. But either way, like, yeah, it's just so dumb. Anyway, that's all I can say.
Yeah, only always take the scholarly approach, and with his scholarly approach, he goes into his rambling. It's easy. It's easy. Obviously, the rock probably have some lithium deposits inside of it. So the lithium deposits, when he puts the metal inside the rock, it's touching the lithium deposits inside of that stone, and it's generating electricity from it. I mean, that's the easiest kind of example of probably what's happening. You know, and the fact that he doesn't even understand what lithium is, he just sees it as magical. You know, and I think that with a little bit of scientific knowledge and know-how and know what the terms is, he would know there's probably a lot of lithium deposits within that rock that's generating that electricity in that rock. You know, and maybe that area, and this is another thing that extends to the last video, you know, because Elon Musk wants to put a battery that has lithium within it inside the brains of people. That's neither here nor there, because if this place is lithium enriched, well, they could trade off the lithium inside the ground that they live on, you know, for a substantial amount of money, because that's going to be something that Elon Musk is coming to look for in Africa. But I think that's what this young guy doesn't understand. And because he is not necessarily an educated person in the field in Western education made that very, very clear. You know, he doesn't understand these kinds of things. But let me also say this. Many of our scientists, you know, the people we tout as very smart, very important people, they learn certain things through the process of observation. And when they learn these things in the process of observation, they jot these things down in notebooks. and then we defer to these people as scholarly or scholars because through trial and error, through observation, they learn scientific method, they learn the natural world and different things like that. But because this guy is literate, I don't know if he's illiterate, but because he speaks Yoruba, but because he doesn't understand what lithium is or what it can do, he just sees the fact that I am able to put this metal within this rock and able to solicit electrical energy. He doesn't understand these kinds of concepts, and I think that that's where the shortfall is. And maybe if he was to go to school, even at a tertiary level, he would be able to understand why he's able to generate this kind of electricity. But let me also say, the ground that he is living on may be enriched with a whole lot of lithium. That's his trade-off. Instead of asking for money, trade that lithium under your feet, brother. You know what I mean? Trade that in for somebody. But I'll leave it, man.
Let me say this. Let me actually push.
Hold on. When I saw the story, wait a second. When I saw the story personally, first to begin with, I thought it was a 12-year-old boy. I was surprised in this piece to learn it was a 21-year-old man who did this. And I, like Oni mentioned earlier, I thought the story was about electromagnetism. I thought he found some magnetic rocks or something like that. I didn't realize that this dude just attached some wires to a stone and said he powered a house lights. That's kind of bizarre to me. Jagan Mola in the chat kind of echoed those sentiments. He says he's generating the electricity somewhere and it's not from the stone. The probability of him getting the circuitry correct without any electrical knowledge is extremely hard to believe. He says even if the rock has lithium in it, in order to have electricity throughout his home, he would have to have knowledge about circuitry. Yana B says, Oni said, I'm not sure that is how lithium works. Yana B says, exactly. If a chip can go into your head, why can't we get electricity from a rock? Many things out here we are unaware of. And Jagamola agrees with Oni. Oni, you have the floor now.
Yeah. So that's the thing, because what we see really is this guy just attaching some wires to a rock. Maybe maybe there's something behind the scenes. Maybe it's not that. It's not. We saw the drill. The drilling.
You're just biased to Nigerian scamming. You're just.
I'm not even. I didn't even know the guy was Nigerian. I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, But what I'm gonna say is, yeah. So I said, let me just look it up. They say lithium is it's a good conductor of electricity, but like whether you could just attach wires to lithium and then it produce, because the thing about this, all right, so the problem with this situation is it's what, all right, so white people, basically everybody kind of always dismisses this offhand based off of the fact that this is a perpetual energy machine, So that's one of the first things that people talk about in physics, which is you pretty much just can't get unlimited energy from somewhere. Now, obviously, solar energy is, you could say that's quote unquote unlimited energy, but why it's unlimited energy. It's not really unlimited energy. It's just energy from the sun, right? Wind power, you could say that wind power goes, but you understand, hey, it's because the wind is there. You just transfer that energy. Or hydroelectronics. The trouble with this rock is that it's inert, clearly. And the reality is this, that if there is an energy source that isn't being replenished, then it will have to finish. If it doesn't finish, then that means that you found something that's just creating energy endlessly, inexplicably. And I mean, sure, like, because the thing is this, even the sun eventually runs out of energy. Like even the sun eventually runs out of energy. So the idea that some random rock contains, and like I said, that's not how lithium works. Like you can't just, because the thing is that, again, lithium is a conductor of electricity. What it basically means is that electrons flow more quickly through it. So what you're going to do is you're going to get all of the electrons from the lithium. That's fine, but then you're gonna deplete your source. Because where are the electrons going to come from?
No, eventually, and see this is the problem with this story, because we don't know how long the electricity. We don't know how long this electricity is conducted out of this rock. We don't know. As there's a whole lot of things is missing from this story, and I think that eventually, probably what's going to happen is that you're going to deplete that source, and you're going to have to find another rock eventually, if it has deposits of lithium inside of it, to conduct the energy to whatever products is inside the house. So I think that's left out of the conversation with this particular prompt.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that.
It's far-fetched, but the reality is this. Okay, so now we know that we have many different minerals that's not necessarily been unearthed that possibly has the potential to produce energy in on the African continent. We know that. There's many different forms that we deal with. What we deal with in the Western world is lithium and all the things on the whatever table. I forget the name of the table. Coco would know. But what if? Because you don't like to talk about the impossibility, and I understand that we deal with evidence. But what if? Periodic table. But what if we was to unearth a source, some mineral that would be able to be sustainable for long periods of time in terms of providing electricity, just deposits that is probably unnamed. What if that exists? Because I mean, like I say, the white man ain't unearth all the materials that exist on the earth. You know what I mean? So, we only going by the periodic table. But what if there is a source that exists that has the capacity through their deposits to light and sustain energy, an alternative way of sustaining light and energy and certain things like that, and it's found in these poor areas? Is that so unbelievable that could be a possibility? Let me put that on the table.
Well, let me say this right here. So the thing about, like I said, lithium is like a lot of these minerals that we value in the West. We value them because they're superconductors, not because they produce energy. I think that lithium thing inside of the guy's head, the Neuralink thing, that would use the energy of the human, the energy of the brain. It would not independently have unlimited energy, or possibly it will be the size that would be powered for a person's lifetime, I guess. But the thing about this rock is that how lithium rich is this damn rock? If it were the fact that it were taking electrons from the lithium, I don't know. And my impression from the video too is that this guy is not changing out rocks. You know what I mean? Like, this guy is, he's just has a rock and he's like, I powered my house with it. Now, like, it's far-fetched, but if you're suggesting, hey, you know what, this lithium is a superconductor and it's drawing electricity from his wires.
What if it's not lithium?
From the earth?
What if it's another chemical that is not necessarily on as we know it, that's on a periodic table, that's creating this kind of situation to happen? What if is there a possibility in your mind that exists that there could be possibly some unearthed deposit that exists or mineral that exists that has the possibility to do this? Is there room for that? Is there room for you to believe something like that? Even though
look, anything is possible. You know what I mean? It's just improbable that this guy's powering his house with rocks. And it's kind of just confusing why this guy thinks he's powering his house with rocks. It just seems like a typical, I'm just gonna say some old bullshit to get online or to get money. Because in the early days, there were always these people, these kooky guys who were like, I made a perpetual energy machine, or I made the magical elixir. And they call them snake oil salesmen, kind of like what Yona B was saying. If this was a white person, you wouldn't believe him. Yeah, because white people had this once upon a time. One of the things that we have to remember about Africa, this is one of the things that Africa wakes you up to, is that a large part of it is like a freaking time machine. It's the shit that we saw in the 40s or the 1860s or the, like different time. And people during that time had things like, hey, I got this magical way, make sure you come finance my life and finance my research. God told me this. Like, what are you fucking talking about? There's no, like already from jump, you should know that there's no cosmological being say, yo, why don't you plug your shit into a rock? Like, that's not real. You know what I'm saying?
I believe you. No, I believe. Only trust me. Me and you are starting at the same position. For me, though, I just like to leave room. And with our cynical mind, we tend to not leave room for space that maybe, maybe. But I would like to leave it at maybe rather than hell no. And I understand because, like Urzuli said, well, these Nigerians, they trying to pull a 419 on us. I just like to leave room, and I just like to say maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. This man have a bunch of Christmas lights, bundle up, and lighten them. But Trigger Happy asked a question about the Congo. The Congo, we did that story before too, and I think that was iridium. It's kind of rare, but it's a superconductor too. I don't think they were, if I remember correctly, I think they were making sparks by hitting rocks together, but they weren't creating electricity per se. They had this material. It's rare and it's super conductive. Let's welcome in Real Black Gentleman this week. Real Black Gentleman, you had some stuff to say in the chat. What say you not?
Hey yo.
Yes, sir.
Now this is the thing. Like, I'm not an earth scientist by trade or nothing like that, but I understand a bit of like chemistry. I understand like how it's possible that this lithium rock is basically like generating electricity. Now, if you're gonna sit here and tell me that they make lithium batteries, what's to say that a really like particularly concentrated rock, you know what I'm saying? If he has a whole bunch of them, maybe he done. Like I said, lithium is it's incredibly reactive. It by its nature is going to bind to damn near anything. So to find a rock with it, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's. I would love to see more into it because all you see is wires coming from the. I mean, you got to like break it down, a little bit more. If he could break it down a little bit more, like what's going. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, it's not scientifically. I don't think that it's scientifically impossible. It's because I mean these are just raw elements. I mean, if you could farm hydrogen out the earth, which is damn near impossible because it's so light, it doesn't bind to the earth. It floats up in space. Like lithium is the lightest thing that can be bound by the crust. It's that relative. If you can have lithium, and what would generate the electricity is just the reactiveness of the lithium to whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just it's going to react. If you understand it has 3 protons, 3 electrons. I want to say how many neutrons, I don't know, but it's like it's going to be able to do a lot. It's when you think about batteries, what you're talking about is like energy transfer. The ions, the electrons have to move from one. I mean, I'm not an earth scientist by nature, but I know if you're going to sit here and tell me that you have a lithium battery, that the black man who has a rock that has lithium in it is not lighting something up. If he has enough rocks, if he can make a battery if you can make that energy gradient out of whatever rock or whatever material, maybe you want to keep that proprietary. I don't want to knock the man's hustle. I'm just saying that it's to me, it's well in the realm of possibility. I was lightweight skeptical at first, but then I was thinking about the science of it all. It's like, well, yeah, it's lithium. It's an alkaline metal. It's like sodium, it's potassium. These are the things that you need when you sweat. Your electrolytes, huh? So like, it's not, I think that he's on to something. Maybe, you know what I'm saying, naturally, if the African science can, you know, bust it down and understand the elementals of it all. I mean, I just hopefully, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily start giving the rocks away. I would try to figure out how to like maximize and make a battery for the people, you know, and like, you know what I'm saying? That's what I would do with it.
I have a question, and me include to your cynical-minded, westernized bastards, including myself. Would it be different? See, Elon Musk, right? We just been sold with nice pictures, you know, of a brain battery, you know, inside our heads. He said he could have a brain battery that'll improve, you know, the mind of people or whatever. But he used marketing. And I'm curious if this guy was polished, had a good British accent, American accent, was in a nice home, and the wiring wasn't like, you know, all over the place like we see here. And the rock itself, you know, yeah, they carved the rock in a nice, pretty way or whatever, right? Would it be more believable then, as opposed to on rip, how we looking at this particular scenario? Because I'm seeing him in the same vein as I'm seeing Elon Musk. He is selling the same snake oil. But he using graphic pictures. It's like, let's put this in your brain and this will do all this and that. He's selling the same fucking snake oil. He's just, because he has a European face, he's clean shaven, and he has a lot of money. He's more convincing as opposed to this guy who's in the village trying to sell us the same kind of snake oil. I'm curious to know, would that be more convincing if he had a British accent and he was able to polish what he's proffering to anyone who would view this film? Will it be more believable? I'm questioning that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you have more polish, you'll be more believable. That's it. But no, you wouldn't. Also because you're talking about perpetual energy. Either way, the thing about Elon Musk is that he puts his money where his mouth is. You know? So the question really comes back to you. Would you put any money in this boy's pocket?
Hell no, put nobody in this nigga pocket.
Like that's all it is. It's like,
no, but
it's like this. Like, real talk. Real talk. If this guy could generate power from his rocks, why ain't he rich?
I would hit him in the head of friggin' rock, because, like I say, I deal from the premise. If you're doing business with me, the first thing is, what's in it for me? So you have to be able to prove to me, and not to say, well, I'm uneducated and I don't know better. Give me some information that I believe to be credible, that I can test it and say, listen, this is the next best thing. Let me put my money and background into this, because if I put my money into this, I'll see some ROI on this investment. And this is the thing that he lacks. And many of my brothers who do business sometimes, they lack in terms of trying to sell an idea to me, and in turn you want me to give me my material possessions. No, it don't work that way. If you're selling that idea to me, you have to make it feasible enough for me to want to reach in my pocket. Now you digging some dirt out of the ground. Come on, bro. You know what I mean? You have to market that shit to me a little bit better. Because go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, what I mean is this, though. If this guy really could make perpetual energy, right? Why his neighbors aren't on it? Right. Why his neighbors not on it? And then why his village not on it? Because clearly, if you could power a fridge and a TV and a whatever, then why ain't nobody else trying to reduce their power bills in order to if that's what you selling? But instead he's there asking, and so Yoda says, so it's about money. He got to have money and white skin for people to believe him. No, the thing about it is this: if what you're doing is real, why in the world are you on the internet asking people, oh, why don't you? I'm not going to go to school for this, but you could send me some money. If it's just damn rocks, you get the wire. You tell somebody, hey, get me the wires, give me some money for my labor, and I'll give you unlimited energy. And he'll be rich. Instead, he looking raggedy, draggedy, talking talking about, oh man, you guys give me some money, y'all can get more tools. So you and kind of like what Buana was just saying, you know, so for what? So you could power your TV? I don't give a shit about your TV. What are you doing? You're not even doing nothing for your community, clearly. You know? And you're not doing anything for yourself. But so you know it's a scam when he's looking raggedy and he could somehow produce perpetual energy. You know it's a damn scam.
Let me play this video that Razuli asked me to play. Razuli, you should come up and speak to what I'm about to play as well. This video is titled "Africa Reacts to Newly Discovered Electricity Producing Stones in DR Congo." He said start at 1 minute 40. He didn't tell me where to stop, so I'll play a minute or two of it.
Tosha me. So that's the first video. So as you can see, it's a shiny kind of metal that is producing its own power. It's like a battery, but it's a stone or metal thing, right? So there's another video. Let's watch it, and then let's discuss after we've watched all the videos. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. So those are the two videos. Let's discuss them. So let's get to the bottom of the story. So these videos have been trending online for the past month. And it's obviously in DR Congo because they're speaking Lingala mixed with Swahili, mixed with French, right? Definitely in DR Congo. And these tones are very peculiar because, as we know, lithium, cobalt, coltan do not produce their own power. They are good cause of power. That's what they use for making batteries. That's what they use them for making electric cars. That's what they use them in like your mobile phones, in any electronic that you use. That's why those things are super valuable, right? But those things do not contain their own power, do not produce their own power, right? So we ask the smartest entity being available right now, ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told us currently there's no metal or ore that produces its own power, right? All of them are just good conductors. And in this video, we're actually seeing these rocks, these stones.
Again, Razuli didn't tell me where to stop it, so I'm stopping it there for time's sake, because we're ending the show at 11. For those who weren't here for the announcement earlier, I'm cutting the show in half because the numbers are going in the reverse direction from what I would like it to be. And I blame it on some recent bullshit that's been going on. But if you want the show to extend in the future, let's bring through more folks in attendance, right? Let's get those numbers up and consistently up. And I'll add an hour to the show. So in this video here, they tell you lithium and all that stuff conductors, good conductors, but they don't generate electricity. So what say you guys to these stones in the Congo, which I thought they were iridium, but I guess not. What do you say about these stones sparking up when touched? Anyone can answer. Let's start with Real Black Gentleman.
Well, I mean, I mean, again, like I want to make a point about the lithium that I think is interesting. That I think might be missing. You know, you guys know they use lithium as an antidepressant, right? You know this, Koku, right? Have you ever heard of this?
Yes.
So using a lithium-based microchip might have something to do with, you know, behavioral modifications in more ways than one. I'm just saying, you just want to like dope up people with a good chunk of lithium and have that shit seep in through their brain. Is that what we're talking about here? I don't know if anyone saw that. I mean, I saw that as soon as I see lithium and chips in the brain. Like, you might as well just take the pill and just stick it in the brain at that point and just let it dissolve. But as far as like the rocks, I saw that was interesting with the rocks. I wish I knew what it was, because I mean, again, like we're talking about electricity. I mean, there's so many elements that when they respond, I mean, this is the earth. And I mean, it's like, I wish I had an idea with, you know what I'm saying, what kind of the rocks they were. Having those in my hand, I think every black person should be able to do that, right? That's how, I mean, I want to have 2 rocks and have them touch and spark. That would be awesome to grow up and do that. But I mean, the problem is, like, I wish I knew, like, you know what I'm saying, like what the, you know what I'm saying, what the geography was, what the geology is, what the rock source is, you know, the strata, what kind of, you know what I'm saying, you got to know that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like I wish I knew. It seemed like they have some kind of you know, ironness to it. Maybe it's, I don't know. I wish I don't know. I mean, I'm just speculating at this point. I mean, I think it's awesome, but like, do I think it's fake? I mean, how are you going to just like fake all those little dots in the rocks? I mean, that's a lot of, something is going on in those rocks. I mean, there's energy transferring. I mean, the rocks are not necessarily inert in the sense that, I mean, different elements are, I mean, you have aluminum, you have silicon, you have all kinds of elements, chlorine, there's salts that, you know what I'm saying, salts. I mean, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, batteries is a lot of, you know, it's transfer of ions. I mean, I'm stumbling here, but I don't know what it could be.
All right, let's have from Oni next, but let's keep it brief, because I want to, again, the show ends at 11 now, so let's keep it brief. Go ahead, Oni.
Yeah. So one of the things that we don't know if this is a chemical reaction or not. And this is not power generation. I think Monatezi's comment about the potato generating power is pretty important, in the sense of a potato can light a bulb, right? Yeah, it can light a bulb. But if somebody told you I used 1 potato to light my whole house, you'd be like, shut the fuck up, you know? And then you lose that 1 potato indefinitely, you know? It would be like, come on, guy, you know damn well you can't use 1 potato to light your whole house. Like, sure, potatoes will, quote unquote, die. They will run out of energy. They will spoil. They will rot. Rocks obviously can't rot, obviously, but that's the part of the reason why they can't be used as batteries. As far as those 2 rocks colliding and you seeing some sort of energy, or you see some sort of photonic emission, right? What I saw a video online of these guys causing some, like, making a track of, I don't want to say, like, of some metal, and then pouring some you know, like some cold air, I don't know what it was, but like nitrogen or some shit, right? And then they were able to let something levitate in a circle around it, like full on levitation, right? I'm saying this to say, not everybody understands everything in physics, especially not our people. But that said, people being impressed by some sort of chemical reaction, some sort of method of photonic emission, that's not really something to, you know, oh my gosh, these rocks are producing power. Because 1, they're not powering anything. You just see photons being emitted, right? And again, you could have that from a chemical reaction. In fact, yeah, Coco could tell us, hey, every chemical reaction, well, not everyone, but some of them are what they call it. I can't remember what it's called, but they release energy, right? And that release of energy is going to look like photons sometimes. So I mean, I'm not impressed, or I don't believe that it's a power source. I would say, yeah, chemical reaction. What are the chemical compounds? Do the math, do the equation, and you'll see, oh yes, this chemical combination requires photons to be emitted, but at this sort of joules, this sort of energy transfer, and that's going to look like energy being shifted. That's not creating power. That's just chemistry. That's it.
I think
there's a chemical reaction. Just quickly, Buana. There's a chemical reaction called a Grignard reaction. It involves magnesium, and that's the thing I thought about eventually with this with this story here, it could just be like a Grignard reaction where you basically combust magnesium chips and that releases light. That's all we saw here was light. And you know what's funny about this? In how Europe underdeveloped Africa, one of the things I always think about from that book is the Africans were fooled by like little magic tricks. Oh, look, I made a coin disappear. Hey, I pulled it out your ear or something. Like, and it's so cringeworthy when I think about that. And sometimes we still get fooled by little magic tricks today. Why don't you get the last word?
Yes, sir. The only thing I have to add to this is a very important conversation, extremely important, and I wish more Black people were to patronize this kind of conversation, because you have in this class right now, you have the scientifically literate in terms of Koku and Oni, and you have the people who are spiritually literate like Erzuli and Trigger Happy. We need to come to have a conversation and be in the same room together, so we could tease out a lot of different things, dismiss certain things, and keep certain things. I feel like this is what moves us forward as a people, because we are very spiritually minded, but there are some things that we need to have enter the room, which is cynicism, which is people who are scientifically literate to say, okay, yeah, that sounds good, on a metaphysical level, but let's deal with the natural world. This is what we contending with right now, and I think that more Black people need to be in this room right now. Very important, because you gain a lot of things from sitting in this room right now with this kind of conversation. I'll leave it there.
Appreciate it. That was topic number 3. We're going to go to topic number 4. Shoot the breeze. Topic number 4 is, by the way, thanks to Tezzy and them who joined recently, Jagan Mulu. Stand on Business. I think Stand on Business is new here. I don't remember seeing that name before. So thank you all for coming through. We're going to finish it strong. Shoot the breeze. Topic number 4 is why some people think the so-called third world don't use refrigerators. I thought this was an interesting prompt, and I see it's our boy, the Chief, Afro Think Tank. Let's watch it, and then we'll talk about
it. They have groceries, any other civilized world nation, right? They do. Like you don't always have to buy everything at the market, even though I prefer the country life. You can come to Nigeria and not live the country life. You just go to a regular store with regular stuff. They got all the same products. You got your bakery over here with your baked goods and your fancy stuff. They got all that crap. All that crap here. People are living just fine here in Nigeria. Just fine. Look, you want to get your vegetables? You can get your mixed vegetables. They got the freezer section like every place else. They got cakes and pies and mild drinks and frozen. If you don't want to get your meat fresh, you can get it like this at the grocery store. They got all the same stuff. All the same stuff. You want to get your prepackaged seasoned chicken? You can get all that. Prepackaged seasoned chicken. You got your sausages and all that stuff. They got everything. Straight up. Like, they got everything, Like any regular store, Any regular store. Need a fan. They got fans. They got everything, Just saying, a lot of people, they don't know. They think they ain't got nothing here. Oh, you third world. Not third world, bro. Africans are living their lives up in here. doing the same stuff with the same products. Want to buy a TV? They got one here. Need some cups? They got that. Need a blender? They got blenders. Just saying, they got it all, y'all. Everything. So if this what y'all consider a third world, and I guess, that's what it is. Everybody, it looked like I'm in Prince George's County, Maryland, to be honest. Prince George's County, Maryland. Look, you want your Red Bull? They got all that. Monster. They got it all. They got everything. The lights are on. They selling fancy drinks and want to get your Heineken, your beer, all that stuff. They got everything. They just do. So that's all I want to show you. They got everything. I once heard somebody say that Africans don't use microwaves. They do. They sell microwaves. They got microwave. I got a microwave in my house. People in the village got microwaves. They got microwaves. They got refrigerators too. In Nigeria, people got refrigerators. Look, people will have the most simplest house with a satellite on top of that bitch, a TV like that, a microwave, and a refrigerator. That's just how it rolls. People still want luxury, right? People still want things, and they get things because they want it. That's how it is.
So, long time ago, in fact, I was still in Nassau. I used to watch this show called The Golden Girls, right? This comedy. And one of the things that stopped me from watching that show, they made a joke about the Bahamas one time. And it was something like we was living in trees and swinging on vines or something like that. Some shit like that. And that was it for me. I didn't appreciate the disrespect. But believe it or not, there's always been, and I'm sure that it still is the case, that there's folks who come to these so-called third world countries, like the Bahamas, like Jamaica, Trinidad and whatnot, and parts of Africa, and just surprised that, oh, y'all have things here? Like, yes, we have things here. Yes, we have cities. We have cities and we have things in the city. And so folks stateside that and elsewhere, that you don't have to be afraid of Africa because you think you can't find the things that you prefer, the things that you're used to there. You want Heineken? Go there. There's Heineken there. There's Milo, which I can't stand personally, but there's Milo there, right? There's microwaves, there's fans and ACs. You ain't gonna be sweating and dying from heat and all kind of stuff like that. There's things that these places have things going on, but the average person, and I hate to say it, but the average Black American thinks that there ain't nothing going on in Africa, or there ain't nothing going on in the Caribbean, and it's just not true. But I'll step aside and I'll let Real Black Gentleman go. Real Black Gentleman, what say you to this?
I mean, I suppose there's ups and downs to, modernizations and all that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being able to produce electricity. There's nothing wrong with that. But what winds up happening is that if you're not producing all the raw components, it winds up being an economic sink. So, like in a lot of cases, having the amenities. I mean, in a hot place, you want to make sure things are cool. There's definitely benefits to refrigeration. I mean, there's a black guy in America who had a patent for a refrigerated truck. He was probably the first person who patented such a thing. It's just like there's nothing wrong with using ingenuity to better a situation. You know what I'm saying? It's just, once again, making sure that, Black people aren't necessarily importing all this stuff. A lot of the name brands, you can always figure out how it's made and just kind of like make your own knockoff and make it better. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to necessarily import everything. I'm going to let someone else speak.
So that's a great point. And Afro Native World is asking the question, why folks anti-rural? I think the reality is just a lot of Black folks live in cities, man. especially in America. Most black folks are in city. Most black folks don't know how to scratch the land and grow corn. Most black folks, Bakari, them talk about this all the time. In fact, they talked about it recently. Most black folks don't know what it is to wring a chicken neck, defeather it, and prepare it for a meal. Most black folks don't know what it is to go and milk a cow, how to tend to goats and all this kind of stuff. That's stuff that I did when I was growing up back home. Most people don't. Even when I went to school back home, most of the kids in my classes weren't doing that shit. You know, and that's just a reality you have to face. And I also think we have to face the reality that you're going to have to bridge the gap too. If you want people to go back, you're going to have to give them something, a way to ease into it. It's you know, that's just what it is. You just have to give them a way to ease into from what they know into what it is that's going on there. Let's hear from Oni on this next.
Yeah, what you just said is one of those wake up calls that, you know, I got when I was younger. You know, we in the conscious community, we have to humble ourselves. You know, and one of the things that I went through to be as humble as I am today, right? Anyway, is I used to talk with people on the street. You know, try to get them to my meetings, try to get them, you know, to see things the way I see things at the time. And so one of the things was that there was we were in fact you know the area around the we were in Brooklyn, we were around the I think like Bed-Stuy Restoration Plaza, right? There's like a big grocery store there. And so at the time I was like, brother, man, you can't be going to the grocery store because, you know, like you can't be going to the grocery store. We should be getting our food, you know, but like we could be boycott here, we could own the blah blah blah. And he's like, okay, so let's say I do not go to this grocery store. Where am I going to get food? And I'm like, bro, there's plenty of trees around here. You can pick. And he's like, I ain't picking no damn fruit. What's wrong with you? You know, at the time I was like, what's wrong with him? But like realistically, what the fuck was wrong with me? I'm telling people, like you said, we talking a bunch of urban folk, and we telling them, why don't you go pick some trees if you want fruit? You know, because I would rather go to the fucking grocery store. You know, like Bwana was saying, because I'm lazy. You know what I'm saying? like I was made lazy. What you want me to do? You want me to plow the earth, work the earth? Like what are you talking about? You know? But also there is also a reality, right? There's a reality. Oh, Yonabi says Pathmark. Actually, I don't know what store it was, but there's a reality too. The reality is, it's pointed out, it's one of those things from way back, which is this. The earth is so productive that you like there's too many people for how much for to work the earth. You know, there's too many people to work the earth. So a lot of us are excess people. That's why we go to the freaking growth. Like that's why they have cities. You see what I'm saying? Because let's say if you're hunting, maybe you could keep such a big population. But if you're doing agriculture, you're producing so much food, and that's with so little labor because the earth does most of the work, right? Now, Barton's gonna be like, no, I do most of the work. No, the earth does most of the work to the point where you don't need, you know, like 100 people on an acre of land. You know what I'm saying? Like one person could do 10 acres or some shit. I don't know, right? If they want, whatever. Not one person, one family, right? That said, all those other people have to do something, right? And so that's what cities are. Cities are, hey, we have a bunch of extra people because we don't need that many people to produce food for the human population. Now, what are they going to do? So they're going to do, you know, boot making and this and that and so forth. But long story short, yeah, we can't, like, it's not even realistic for us all to go back to a rural environment because we're not even needed there. You know, I go to any village and I say, look, I'm here to help. They're like, Negro, we got it already. If you want to help, go do something else. Bring us some shit from the city or some shit. You know? That's it.
Go buy some shit. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no,
Jagan Mulu, Trigger Happy, Afro Native World. I hear what y'all are saying. I'm not disagreeing with it. But the reality is, most black folks, they've herded us into these cities. We're not about that life anymore. And so you're going to have some of those until you're in control and can change uh, the mindset and all that stuff. Yeah, you're going to have some of those things. But Buana, go ahead.
no. Let me start by saying this. When I first when I went to school in the States, there was a white girl asked me, in terms of coming from the Caribbean, it's like, well, I thought y'all live in like huts, grass huts and shit. I thought it was hilarious, like grass huts. What the fuck are you talking about? But I think that some Westerners have the view that if it's a society or country or situation that's not necessarily controlled by the powers that be, I mean, you all fall to like jungle kind of living. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. The ideas that they come up and contrive in their minds, and how black people live outside of living in Americas and England and Canada. I'm like, grass huts, what the hell are you talking about? But some people actually do have these ideas seriously, and sometimes you have to disabuse people from these ideas, even at a very basic level. It's like, no. We have satellites and Netflix, and we have things that you have. Are these things good? Well, these things could be that's debatable. But we live in the Western world too. We have things just like you. We live in an organized society where it's not a situation on Planet of the Apes. And I used that reference last time. And when I say Planet of the Apes, I say that in a negative way. But if you think about the Planet of the Apes wasn't really a bad society. Needless to say, all I'm saying is that we are the consequences of the Western world too. So we get what the Western world gets. Am I anti-rule? My father gave me the benefit of experience in life in a rural society where my grandfather lived. He was a pig farmer. So he had his pigs in a fence. He had a rock oven. He built his own house. And do I want to live in that subsistence kind of lifestyle? Hell to the no. Hell to the no. Because my reality is there's an easier way to do it. There's a more there's a more comfortable way to do it. It's the same. It's in essence in the same way that if you ask a New Yorker in terms of going to produce his own fruits, where he could go to the grocery store and get his tomatoes, get his apples, get his oranges. Why would he have to grow it on? It doesn't make any sense to him when he could just get it for cents on a dollar. So with our people, you have to be able to ease them into their own reality. And their own reality has to be an alternative reality that is commiserate to the lifestyles that they've been living. Something that is healthier, something that is more productive, but is an alternative, but it's not in a situation where you have to go back to year zero. To year zero. Because technological advancements, and I don't only place that in the hands of white folks, because we contributed to the technological advancement, so we should benefit from these technological advancements. So I appreciate my refrigerator. You know what I mean? I appreciate my oven. Where I don't have to use a rock oven, I can use an electrical oven to make my food. I appreciate my gas tank. So I think that these things, I don't poo-poo them. I don't disrespect the rural society in the rural world, but I enjoy the so-called modern world that I exist in now. And if we are realistic, and if we are presenting an alternative, that alternative have to be commiserate for our people. Why do I have to go back to 1776 or before that when I live in 2023? So I think that these are realistic conversations that we need to have, man. And like I say, I'm not poo-pooing the rural world. I think that these things does living off of the land and benefiting from what that land has to offer you is very important. It's very important. But I also have to recognize that because of technological advancement, these things are also beneficial for us right now in the 21st century. And I don't dismiss these things too, because I also know through observation, our scientists, our innovators, our inventors had something to do with the world we exist in right now, currently. So I wouldn't easily dismiss that as well. But like I say, this fanciful notion of how we living in the third world is just a contrived idea. I don't know who created this concept and put it into the minds of so-called first world people. But we don't live in a jungle. We live in modern societies just like everyone else, whether people believe that or not. And I would challenge the people who believe these kinds of myths to come to these countries and see for themselves. I'll stop there.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'd like to see, and you guys in the chat are having real good conversation, real good ideas. I'd like to see like all these different products on the shelves. I know is exploitation too, right? I know that's an economic exploitation. You import all this shit from England and France and whatever, and make African people buy it. I'd like to see more African products, right, on the shelves. And like Trigger Happy and a few of you have been saying, when we have our own nations and create our own cities, they should be in our likeness. They should be African. I think, even in my hometown, I think that's one of the issues. It should be a Bahamian thing. It shouldn't be a European thing. You shouldn't go down there and see Sabaros and all this shit on Bay Street as your land. Like it should be completely Bahamian markets, etc. Bahamian produced products, etc. Same thing with Jamaica and everywhere else, right? For time's sake, though, let me go on to Shoot the Breeze. What topic is this now? Let me go on to Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 tonight, which will probably be the last topic tonight. Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 is straight from the horse's mouth. Is she lying? So who is she? What is she potentially lying about? This takes us to Twitter. On Twitter, there's this person named Mambo Nash II. He's tweeting this white woman's message that says, for black people to believe in the same God that allowed them to be enslaved shows their level of intelligence. We are living in the age of information, all caps. Why are they still believers? It makes no sense. We gave blacks Christianity because it made them better slaves. Even my great-grandpa told my dad once that blacks accepting Christianity was the best thing that ever happened to white slavers. The fear of hell and promise of everlasting life is what finally kept the slaves from rebelling and running away. LOL. And nowadays, black people are still praising the very imaginary white guy who allowed them to be enslaved in the first place, shouting and dancing with their wigs falling off in church. LOL. I'm no racist, but we all must admit that black Christian women are some funny motherfuckers. The only whites who believe in Christianity are the descendants of poor whites from those days. The rich whites don't believe in that crap because they knew what it was being used for. Control over the slaves and poor whites. By the way, I saw this thing like 10, 15 years ago. So this is an old post that this white woman put up some years ago. But it's interesting. I saw a video. I don't know if it was on the Discord I saw it, or was it on Twitter? But like some white Christians, like campus Christians, I guess, are standing around in a circle talking about the Jesus and whatnot. And this black guy from the continent, I'm not sure what part, could have been Nigerian, not sure though. He comes there and says, Christianity was African. The white folks came and met it there, and blah blah blah. And these white folks are getting giddy off this black guy talking this shit, right? And it's just like, dude, what are you talking about? This idea that Ethiopia has the oldest Bible is because a dude came from out of the Christian world, an Ethiopian, and took that shit back to Ethiopia, and they ran with it. You know, but it's crazy, real talk, that we still believe in this shit. Like John Henry Clark said, like, to pray to the same God as your enslaver and hope for your prayers of freedom to be granted is insanity to me. It's insanity to me. And last thing I'll say, what they did is a crazy thing that they did. They took you away from your spiritual systems, your spirituality, and they herded you into this religion shit that they don't even follow. They don't really follow that shit. But they turned around and they told you, like in my country and in Jamaica, etc., they told you to make obeah, for example, illegal. These dudes don't even believe in this Christianity shit, right? But the spirituality, which is really the science for us and the technology for us, right? They tell you to avoid that shit, make that illegal, and go into this shit where your prayers will never be answered. When your ancestors would have answered your so-called prayers. It's a crazy thing. Afro-Native World said to me, y'all reminding me of Duddy Bookman's prayer at Bois Cayman. I wish Zuli would have hopped on, but he must be busy or something like that. But yeah, this is the problem. Anyway, I've said enough. Real Black Gentleman, what say you to this?
Well, I mean, again, the Bible is clearly been tampered with. It's you know what I'm saying? It's like 5 karat gold. You know what I'm saying? It's been stepped on so many times that whatever original knowledge, you know what I'm saying, authentic knowledge that's in it, you have to be a damn near 600 level, you know what I'm saying, doctorate to even try to like make sense of all of it. You know what I'm saying? You have to, you know what I'm saying, you have to have that hood, you know what I'm saying, doctorate in order to break that down. But like most people aren't even like studied enough to even recognize, try to find the parallels in history in the book, and you know what I'm saying, where it relates to us. Because I mean, like I'll say this 1,000 times, right? Where's the book of Ghana? Where's the book of Zimbabwe? Where's the book of the Congo? Where's the book of, you know what I'm saying, the Yoruba? Where's the book of our people? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the book of the Africans? You know what I'm saying? All that Romans and Corinthians, like is not African. So once you know that, it's like half of that stuff doesn't relate to us anyway. So I mean, it's that fragment of Egypt, and you know what I'm saying, the residuals of Ethiopia in the book that you can kind of like, and that you can only do that to kind of like cross refer like historical like you know, facts and time and stuff. I mean, if I say if the Bible is 5 karat gold, the Quran is fool's gold. I mean, that's not a book of history in me. I know that I mean, I already get, for me, I already get all that Islam. I get that movements over there. I get that. I get all that. You know what I'm saying? That's some old Asiatic stuff anyways. I'm gonna go ahead and yield. I don't know what else to say. I mean, if black people believing in the Bible, you got to understand history. You got to be, what happened yesterday. You know what I'm saying? That should be the religion of black people. What happened yesterday? What happened yesterday? Because in this world, they'll try to fake you out on what happened yesterday. And I'm gonna pass the mic.
That's a good point. What the fuck happened yesterday? Why are you talking about what happened in a book from 3,000 to 6,000 years ago? Anyway, Buana, what say you to this?
I say what I said the last time. It's all business. You know, the reason why our people are trapped, I believe, and I use that word very intentionally, trapped in this idea of Jesus Christ Incorporated, is because their marketers are the best marketers in the world. You know, and their competition is Muhammad incorporated. And I would say that our African spiritualists, people like Trigger Happy, people like Urzuli, who are big with the spirituality and culture, need to get into the game in terms of marketing our business strategy and selling that to our people, selling our spiritual product to the world, and making that feasible for our people who want to have a viable alternative, because we're in a competition, ideological, spiritual competition, whether we know it or not, whether we want to participate in it or not. And this is the reason why you see the Mormons on bicycles in predominantly black countries, proffering and selling their spiritual beliefs and ideas to a predominantly black population of people. They are selling their ideas. They go all over the world to do it. Now, granted, one may say we don't have the money to do it, but you have the voice to do it and you have access. Access, the YouTube is universal access. Universal access. So where the Hebrew Israelites are succeeding in proffering their spiritual message, where the Yahweh ben Yahwehs of the world and Wabians are succeeding, you follow their examples of selling the ideas to the world. Go to the people, meet them where they are, and you sell your ideas to the people as an alternative to what's been sold to them already. Because this is a fight, and we are engaging in a competition of ideas, spiritual ideas. Who gonna run the roost? So far, the Christians are out front because they had a time period of it, even though they didn't have the longest time period of it. They had a time period of it. So now, where we see that there is an opening for people who are open to an alternative medicine, spiritual medicine, this is where our speakers, spiritual speakers, spiritualists, need to come out and proffer a different alternative and put that to the people as well, so they could see, okay, I listen to the Christians, I listen to the atheists, I listen to the agnostics, I listen to the Nawabians, I listen to the Rastafarians, but I listen to these people as well, and these people making more sense than they. These people making more sense than them. So I feel like we need to get on the ball to start marketing ideas and telling the people why our alternative is much better than what's been offered before. And I think that this is where we need to get on the ball rather than complaining about it. Get onto the streets and the byways and highways, as Christians say, and proffer our ideas to the people. Because if they are given this alternative, there'll be some who will completely reject it. There'll be some who will say, well, maybe, but there'll be many people who are going to be drawn to the fold of that because they're going to drag their genetic memory, which is very important. You have to teach the people. You have to educate the people. The colonialists spent 400 years putting us in the classroom of Christianity. They put us in that classroom of Christianity, beat us in that classroom, and discipline us to the notion of Christianity. Of course, that's going to come out of our mouths after 400 years. But now we have our own segue with this internet, and we use it as a tool to properly instruct our people. And one may say, well, it takes 400 years to get them to this point. It may take us 400 years or even shorter because of technology. But all I'm saying is proffer the alternative and tell the people and explain to them why it's better. Give them an alternative and explain to them why it's better. And leave them to their own decisions. And you'll be surprised. You'll be very, very surprised who start to reject and who start to accept. But I'll leave it there.
I'll say this. I think Jagamulu makes a good point. He says it's an emotional connection. When you are emotionally tied to an ideology, logic goes out of the window, right? He says African spirituality isn't for that. That logic goes out the window. It is a serious point. It's a serious point. But with that said, I
would tell Jagan Mogo, if it's an emotional thing, use the tool of emotion. Because emotion is just a tool. You could have an emotional experience at a Tina Turner concert. or you could have an emotional reaction from a baseball or boxing match. They use that as a tool to cause people to dig into their pockets and patronize them. So if you are in this Western world, you use the tools that they use to make them successful to your end as well.
Jagamulu says, in my opinion, if you are dumb enough to believe that BS, you aren't intelligent enough to grasp a lot of the concepts within our spiritual systems. I like that. With that said, should be topic number 5 is straight from the horse's mouth. Is she lying? Only you've heard what everyone had to say. You've seen the comments in the chat. You've left some of them there yourself. What say you to this?
No, she ain't capping. She telling like an IS is. But here's the thing. So I want to read these things that I put in the chat. One, Bobby E. writes, quote, if white people didn't give us good food, they didn't give us good clothing, they didn't give us good houses, why did they give us such good religion? You understand? They didn't. It's bizarre. Like, that's probably the first clue. You know what really turned me away from Christianity when I was turned away from Christianity. Like, I never really believed in it. But one time, I think I was in elementary school, and the teacher proudly told us, or it might have even been like high school, I don't know. But teacher told us the guy who writes Amazing Grace, he was a slaver. Like, he was literally going to Africa, picking up people, and then bringing them over to America. Tons of tons of people. Like, everybody's outraged about some dumbass fucking white boy jumping off of a cruise ship into shark infested water. Our ancestors, or not even our ancestors, but people who are in the villages with us, you know, in the cities with us, they had to jump off of ships, or they died in the boat, and then they were thrown into these waters. But how outraged we are at this one little white boy voluntarily jumping into shark infested water. That's how a lot of our people went. And the guy who writes Amazing Grace was one of those people who was tossing black folk out off of the side of ships, and then black folk today singing that song with their whole heart, Whitney Houston style. You know, like Bwana just said, you go to the church and you hear a woman, amazing, you know, I said amazing. She's singing songs of a man who would throw black folk off of a fucking boat into the shark's mouth. It was so bad that the sharks would follow the slave ships. They would alter their course and say, you know where it's good eating? Right? You know where good eating is? Anyway, so obviously the whole premise of this religion is it was to control the black mind. Right? But you know, and then today for you to go along with it. Like, I understand you going along with it at that time. Why? Because, you know, they was going to control you one way or the other. But that's what I've said about, you know, like when Bonner was saying, hey, you sure people can't leave? The gate is open. Like, that's the thing. Like if you ran away from the plantation, they would chase you. There were slave catchers. There are no slave catchers. That's the big thing that people don't get. When you go to Africa, you realize, you know what? There are no slave catchers. Don't nobody care that I left. This white boy not losing a damn day of sleep saying, damn, where's Oni? I'm up. What is Oni up to? He don't give a fuck. When you're in America, you thinking, man, this man he's just listening to every fucking conversation I got. You know what I'm saying? I was listening to Baruti the other day. Baruti talking about, man, I know it's dated if I say this, but, you know, we black people got to stand up. And they might just knock on my door tomorrow. I don't know if that's the case, but damn sure if you go to Africa, he ain't knocking on your damn door. This white boy don't give a fuck. You are not on a plantation anymore. This man he's perfectly fine with you leaving. You don't want to leave. That's what it is. And so only thing that we have to do is tell folk, hey, you know what? There's a good life out there. You can afford it. You know you could afford it. 1 month of rent could treat you for a year in Africa. And we know you could afford your rent. And we know you could afford a 12th of your rent. So what do you want to be with this white boy? And because you do, all right, fine. But just say that. Remind me that video, and I know this is the last prompt, so I'm just, but I remind me that video where the guy says, look, man, if you're gonna be with a white woman, stop talking black, because you're confusing people. And that's what it is when it comes to either being in America or even being Christian. It's like, okay, you want to be in this country and just complain and whine and say I'm entitled to this, and this white boy better give me my money, better cut me that check. Well, okay, that's fine. Just stop talking black, because you're confusing people. You're confusing people. I just like it's like we thinking you with us, but it's like you got zaddy. You know what I'm saying? You got zaddy issues. That's it. Like you realize when you listen to a lot of these people from America, you realize they just got some zaddy issues. That's it. They're just like, man, I'm not getting enough. Like sometimes they be talking to me like, man, this white boy, he started telling us, he started controlling how we, women on welfare. He would control us and say that we can't have men in the house. Yeah, because he's paying you for every child you have. Why do you keep making babies? He don't want you to keep making babies. That's it. And the thing is this, you don't have to apply. It ain't complicated, but I'm not, a little bit of tangent. So the other thing I wanted to say was about Manichaeism. So Manichaeism was one of the biggest religions on the planet before Islam showed up. So there was, traditional Christianity, and then there's Manichaeism. And this was a world religion to the point where everybody knew about, look how everybody knew about Islam. Everybody knew about Manichaeism. What the fuck is it? You know what I mean? I never heard of it. You know what I'm saying? Most of us never heard of it. The point is that religions can come and go. Okay? Spiritual systems can come and go. It really comes down to, can you be one of those people that creates a system for other people to follow? That's it. It dawned on me that, obviously I'm an unpopular guy. So I'm going to write this book and maybe it's not going to be all that big. But somebody once upon a time wrote a book and it became big. The Yoruba, the Odu Ifa, is Oren Miller writing a book and it became big. It's a big, deep spiritual system. But if you look into it, and a lot of these things, you look into them, they're just telling you how to organize your family, how to organize your community, how to organize your nation. Kind of things that we should be talking about too. And they just put it in the book. Okay? And I mean, obviously I want to put it in the book too, but what I'm saying is that that's what it is. So, but here's the thing. These Christianity, Islam, they're telling you how to control your damn slaves too. And then we the people who got enslaved, we there reading it like, this is the good book. You fucking, you know what I mean? Like, come on. Anyway, I ain't gonna curse, but you get it.
We only have a few more minutes left, so this is to all of you on the panel and to those of you in the chat. I see Brahu. I'm not familiar with that person. He's telling Oni to stop talking nonsense and whatnot. But is it about pragmatism? Is it that black folks are just not pragmatic enough? Like, we just don't boil things down to the fine stuff, to really understand these things. Is that our issue, Buana? Do you think that's our issue?
But first of all, let me tell Oni, when he refers to anything that he makes or produces, he label it as the best thing that is since sliced bread. Don't say nobody gonna purchase it. Say everybody gonna purchase it and want to read it, because it's something that is gonna change the mindset of many, many people. I want him to advertise his shit like how the Holy Book is advertised. The Holy Books. Okay, that's first and foremost. Don't say that. You are a scholar and you have something to say, and don't downgrade your work. But as far as being a pragmatist, I think we are taught that this is something, like I say, we've been in the classroom for 400 years. So of course they can teach us to think outside of ourselves, or refer or defer to something outside of ourselves in terms of something that's coming that's going to save us and make us better. You know, we have not been taught to refer to our inner self, trying to discover what's going on inside us to resolve whatever problems we may have. This is something that's been taught and conditioned into the minds of people for 400 years. You know what I mean? So to displace that is almost like swimming upstream. But you have to swim it regardless. You have to swim regardless, because some people can catch on and they say, you know what? It's difficult to go on this narrow route, but it's something that I could go anyways. And at the end of it, maybe I might find my salvation. And you have the people to have buy-in into the end of that treacherous journey. You will find your salvation, because many people think in the easy way, all I got to do is pray to Jesus and all the problems that I have gonna be answered. I don't have to refer to myself. Let me deal with something from some supernatural thing that's gonna occur. This is conditioning. And the reality is, it's only through the process of trial and error, to thinking, to executing, you won't be able to solve your material problems, your natural world problems. This is the truth that our religious institutions don't want to tell to the people. They want to follow the same form and format and conditioning the minds of the people to look outside of themselves to resolve whatever issues they may have. And like I say, as Oni is doing, as you are doing, as all the brothers and sisters on the panel are doing every week, we are trying to get the people back to self and stop relying on the supernatural. Because if you're waiting for the cloud to burst and some supernatural being to come down from the clouds to bust that sky to resolve your problems, this is something that our ancestors have been doing for many, many years. Wait till Jesus comes. No, Jesus smoking dope in Jamaica. He ain't coming for you. You gotta solve your own problems, and you have the ability to do it. You know what I mean? But for you develop a mindset and a dogged determination to solve your problems, then you will always be considered to be secondary or second class to everyone else, because everyone else, look around the world, everyone else is figuring their way and solving their problems. China don't talk about Jesus. China don't talk about Jesus at all. But yet still, they was able to climb out of the poverty-stricken situation they was in to be a competitor as a super global power right now. So you must follow the examples that are successful. You know, real world talk. I'm not dismissing African spirituality. I'm not saying that it's in the clouds. I'm not saying dismiss your whatever religion you may come from, but I'm saying that there are some things that's within that you could contribute to yourself to solve your own problems. We have to be, as a people now, to be problem solvers, real problem solvers, and not to defer to the mystical and the unseen. We could do it ourselves. But I'll leave it there.
I appreciate that. Buana, Real Black Jam, you want to add any last thoughts in the final few minutes here?
I mean, as far as like spirituality, it's like, once again, it's like, I mean, it's not a hard thing. It's just people coming together and talking about how they're going about doing, making what they believe manifest. I mean, it's not spirituality. I don't think is something that you do by yourself. I think that it's always this. When we say, I almost sound like a wild thing. When people talk about community, what they're really talking about is spirituality. It's just like a civic spirit. There's nothing wrong with that. What Oni is saying, I give big ups to Oni. Oni, you know what I'm saying? Oni cuts to the quick. I mean, it's true. If ultimately Black people want to be their best, I'm not too sure how would I say it? The tensions and the expectations of America are going to yield to Black prosperity. It's difficult. I mean, ultimately, I would say that, what I'm saying, being snatched up out of America, like I'm definitely going to advocate for anyone going back to Africa. I'm not going to sit here and say Oh, don't go back to Africa. Don't look at Africa. Don't talk about Africa. Don't talk about what's going on in Africa. Don't see Africa as a geopolitical entity. Don't see aspects of Africa as being geopolitical. And I think that going back to Africa is the most commendable thing that a Black person can do. I'll definitely advocate for that. Yeah, the nature of people wanting to come to America, Africans wanting to do that straight from the continent. It's difficult because we're all born and we all have incomplete knowledge. And even as we grow up and become mature adults, like our knowledge, we tend to know more about things and not know. And in some areas we know an incredible amount, but it's just having that understanding is the difference between, what you don't knowing what you don't know. And like when we talk about religion, it's like, I know that I don't know, like, if any of this can be verified in this book. I know I don't know if I can, ascertain Moses and all of that. It's like, better. And you can go back to Africa. You can go back to, there's places in African people over across the ocean who say, so it's not a mystery. Go back to Sankofa. It's not taboo to go back and fetch that which belongs to you. I'm gonna pass the mic.
Thank you for that, RBG. Brother Bakari just joined us, but Bakari, I don't know if you know, you might have been over on Cassidra's show at the time, but we're ending the show at 11. I'm making a 3-hour show. You guys can catch the playback as to why. Brahu, or however you pronounce your name, if you want to come through next week, come on the panel. Don't throw shots from the peanut gallery. Anyway, that's the show tonight. Like I said, for the foreseeable future, we'll keep it at 3 hours. If you guys want it longer, you got to bring more people in to view. All right. I want to thank the panel. Oni, you want to shout out anything this week?
Nah, well, shout out to the program. Shout out to Brother Bakari, my brother from another mother. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I asked Yona B to grace us with her accent. She didn't. But beyond that, tomorrow I'm gonna be. Now that I guess you get some sleep before I do my podcast. That's cool. Tomorrow I'm gonna go over the Ugandan bill. I want to see. I want to read it for myself because a lot of us were kind of like, why are they doing this? But some parts of it, the harsher parts of it, is like if you attack a child. You know what I mean? So I think that's pretty interesting, and so I'm just gonna explore that a little bit. That's pretty much it.
Juana, you want to shout anything out this week?
No, shout out to the show. We just got a taste of the Bitter Medicine podcast, and usually people need to get a taste to get some of that desire to come back. Shout out to Oni. He was on fire tonight. I could decipher through that a lot of that Jamaican tether Bible that he usually goes on with, and he did a great job tonight. And shout out to all the other panelists, man. Big up.
Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone who was here. Real Black Jummy, you want to shout anything out this week?
I want to shout out the summer. I'm gonna shout out I want to shout out standing up on my own 2 feet, man. That's what I'm gonna shout out on. I had a rough week, but I want to give a shout out to my work partner, young brother. I work with him. I've been trying to set him straight. Show them the trade. I work with young people. I work with my people, man. I work with my people. I don't want y'all to think I'm out here with white folk and talk with. I know what my people go through, man, every day. So I just want to give a shout out to young people, man. Keep strong. Don't quit on me, man.
Right.
Shout out RBG, man. Become the best at what you do, brother. So the brothers could fall after whatever trade that you have to offer them. Shout out to you, brother.
And bring some of the youth here sometimes too. Black youth, bring them here too. Anyway, you guys know, check out all the shows on KWAZ Radio. We'll be back next week. Make sure to check out all the shows during the week. And you guys be good. I guess I'll see you guys in a week. You guys take care. And peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.